I think every single person in this locker room is a competitor at the highest level. So, yeah, when you feel as if your backs are against the wall, you never have to feel like you got to do it by yourself.
Unbelievable throw. Under pressure. Sacked by Quinnen Williams. Right sideline, Uzama's got it.
You look to your left and your right, you got guys out there with you that our whole point is to help each other.
This one to Mims. That's Corey Davis climbing the ladder.
To be able to go out and lead these guys, just to know how hard these guys work and how important it is to them, and then you get that chance to lead them. Everything that happened that needed to happen for us, it almost felt like kind of like a sign, like get like a second chance almost.
Gets extra pushes, running left.
Maybe a little extra life to breathe in the locker room.
Touchdown Jets.
Where the hell is everyone? I am by myself right now. I am oh so excited to be here with you guys. We'll have Green Bean hopping in just a few minutes, and then Richie's going to drop in around 8:15, 8:30. But yeah, welcome on into Talkin' Jets. I'm looking forward to talking to you guys. We got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. The Derek Carr news, Aaron Rodgers, what's going on with him, Ryan Tannehill. We got the new hire and Todd Downing. Stuff going on around the NFL. We could talk about the Super Bowl. Whole bunch of things to do. I have a poll in the live chat right now. Who do you prefer? Now, I know most of us are going to be on the Jimmy G, or sorry, not Jimmy G, are going to be on the Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr train. 100%. I get that. But let's eliminate those two out of the conversation, and I just want to go down to Jimmy Garoppolo and Ryan Tannehill, because I'm interested to see where the fan base kind of sits on this. Who do you prefer, Jimmy G or Ryan Tannehill? Live poll is in the live chat. If you, feel so inclined. Ryan S., thank you so much for becoming the newest member of the channel. Much appreciated, brother. Make sure you look for those new emojis in there. We got some JETS, guys. Drop some JETS in the chat for our newest member. Harold says, can't answer the poll question because I don't prefer those quarterbacks. Yeah, I think a lot of us probably don't. I'm starting to warm up a little bit more on Tannehill than I was a few weeks ago. And I don't know if that's like I'm being beat down and I'm trying to make sense of stuff, or if I'm legitimately like mildly neutral on winding up with Tannehill. Yeah, but I would be underwhelmed for sure. It is Valentine's Day today. So if you would like to show how much you like or love or lust for our Talkin' Jets panel, make sure you hit that like button. Always goes a long way. Guys in the chat, go through some comment questions before Green Bean pops in here. Tony says, can't vote, Rodgers or bust. I love it. NY Super Jets fan said, who's on your that way and who's on your other side? LOL. Yeah, I don't have anyone to my this way. I don't have anyone to my that way right now. I'm sure they'll be in here. Hennessy says, the guys saw the poll and said, nah, I'm good. Not showing up. Ryan's doing this solo. Yeah, I would say that's probably about right. Mr. Richard Chimneys Burner says, asking to pick between Jimmy G and Tanny is like asking if you rather drown or burn to death. Yeah, I'm taking drowning. Still, either way, it's these wouldn't be great options. Jimmy G, Ryan Tannehill. It's a lot to be desired for sure. Kev Lowe says, I prefer none. I'd rather stick with Wilson, Rodgers, or Lamar, or bust. Entirely not an uncommon perspective, I think. I think a lot of people, or there's people out here, and I don't think they're wrong, if you don't believe the quarterback that you're paying a bunch of money to can get you to a Super Bowl, then it's not worth paying that quarterback. And that could be where you kind of lump Jimmy G, Ryan Tannehill, and maybe to a lesser extent Derek Carr into those categories if you think they can't win one. But that being said, a lot of quarterbacks don't win one until they do. So I don't know if that's necessarily like the worst thing, but Kev, I know where you're going with this. TJ Decker says, I'd like Jimmy a lot more if he played more than half the games. I think that's sort of where I fall on this. Like, I actually like Jimmy Garoppolo's overall talent better than Tannehill's. I just don't trust his health. Woke Hogan says, Tannehill's numbers are on par with Carr. Yeah. I don't know what's his average. That's more so what I kind of want to find out. I don't particularly like that. I don't know how to differentiate the success of Ryan Tannehill and the success of Derrick Henry. For me, it's a chicken or the egg almost situation. I think Derrick Henry is like the best running back or one of the best running backs to come through the league in a while. So it's obviously going to slant more towards him than it is Tannehill. So let's see. Tannehill's last few years, he's only got 4 years over 4,000 yards. This guy is not Derek Carr, in my opinion. He is discount Derek Carr. He is old Derek Carr. He is, I don't even know how to say it. I mean, at least he's played in almost all the games for these last 3 seasons. He missed 5 games this past year. He played in all of them in 2021 and all of them in 2020. And those were years he had 3,800 yards, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and 3,700 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. I would say this is probably the safe baseline for where the Jets ultimately end up at quarterback. Like, I don't know if you're going to get to the level of maybe the Jacoby Brissett or the Baker Mayfield or insert whatever other kind of quarterback, Gardner Minshew, in there. I think they're definitely going veteran quarterback. I think Carr almost eliminates the possibility of you eventually going back to Zach. Jimmy G, Tannehill, and Rodgers, those 3 in particular, I feel like opens the door more so than not for a reunion, not a reunion tour, but like a comeback tour for Zach Wilson if he eventually turns it around. Ron Weiss. Ron says, thank you guys for the past 2 seasons for me. Thank you guys for at least the past 2 seasons for me. Thanks for hanging out with us. It's always nice to have you guys in the chat. I look forward to Tuesdays. This is, we joke about this being Jets therapy, but this is definitely more therapeutic than not. I mean, you guys got me through the ups and downs of the whole Jets season, and I've made a bunch of cool friends along the way. And here is one of our friends right now. Let me get him linked up and switch over to him. Wham, Mr. Green Bean. How you doing there, guy?
Hey, what are you doing? What's going on, man? Sorry I'm late.
That's all good. I came in and did the intro, and I was like, where'd everyone go? I'm by myself.
Yeah, it's weird, right? On a Tuesday night. I mean, Monday it's fine to be by yourself sometimes, but Tuesday it's weird, right?
I know. It's uncomfortable. How are you doing?
Yeah. Let me say the Happy Valentine's Day, Ryan.
Happy Valentine's Day to you as well. Did you do anything good for Meryl?
Nothing.
I got Becca some flowers.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, and I'll tell everybody this. It's a bigger day for us. I shared this with both you and O'Leary.
Ooh, yes.
Meryl, it just so happened my awesome sausage wife happened to get sober on Valentine's Day. It's her first day clean. So today she celebrates 17 years, bro, without a single shot of heroin, not one puff of crack, nothing, not even a beer.
That's a long time. That's
Isn't
great,
it? Especially when you like heroin as much as we do over here.
Well, that's what's so terrifying. It's such like that to me is the most terrifying of drugs because it's so highly addictive and like I've just seen people go down some scary paths. So to be able to come out of that is truly impressive.
Yeah. It's scarier now. Like, look, the last time I ever did it, right? Like now it's this fentanyl stuff, right? Like it's like people are dying. Oh, it's like 500 times stronger than heroin. It wasn't like out there yet. So the last time I ever did it, I just did my normal thing, and it was so strong that I drove through a telephone pole in West Orange. I tell you guys, I tore down the power lines to the Turtleback Zoo.
Oh, geez. I know exactly where that is.
Yeah, but I didn't know. But that's I mean, I was high for like I got arrested. I was high for 24 hours from one, and that's I didn't realize it then that's what I got. I was very beginning of fentanyl, and I'm very grateful that I didn't. If I would have made it home, I was going to do twice as much, and I would have died. So I'm very grateful for that. It's a weird world in there, man. So anyway, happy Valentine's Day. But over here, it's bigger than Valentine's Day. It's my wife's sober date, so we do that.
I love it. That's even more worth celebrating.
Yeah.
We got a whole bunch of stuff to go into Jets wise. Tony hops in. Tony says, "Welcome, Green Bean, our 𝐒𝐫𝐞𝐞𝐬𝐶."
Yeah. What's up, Tony? Good to see you, buddy. It's nice to be here with you guys. I'm again sorry I was late, but we got plenty of time.
We got plenty. Richie will be here around 8:15 to 8:30, somewhere in that ballpark. But I want to get your thoughts on the Super Bowl. I want to talk a little bit about this past weekend. We obviously had the big game. Do you think the Jets try to model their futures after either one of the teams we saw? What did you like? What did you dislike about the game, the performances, anything like that?
Well, I thought it was a very good game. Right? I thought it was fun. I thought that it was competitive. I mean, all the way till the end. I mean, it was just one of those. It was a very exciting game. I thought Jalen Hurts really looked. I mean, 2 years ago, they were talking about throwing this guy in the garbage, right? And even though he didn't win, he accounted for was it 5 touchdowns, like 2 rushing?
Yeah, I mean, he had at least he had 3 rushing, and then he had the pass to A.J. Brown and Goddard, maybe? Were those the two? I think that's what it was.
Yeah. So anyway, it's just I thought it was a very good game. I know the thing is with the second half. I mean, look, the Eagles, they had it, man, right? They had it, and the Chiefs came out and they did Chiefs things. This is why Mahomes is currently, in my opinion, the top dog. He knows when to turn it on. He knows how to take it over. And there's lots of talent around him, so he knows what to do. But, dude, I mean, even with that ankle of his, I mean, you could see it. That was orchestrated by Patrick Mahomes. And they came out in the second half, and they were borderline unstoppable. And the Eagles, what did they say? I forget what they scored in the second half, but the defense clamped down. Yeah, not much, right? I thought it was a great game. But you look at the offensive and defensive lines, man. That's where the money is anymore. It's like, granted, you need that quarterback, right? You got to have a quarterback that can play. But here's an interesting thing. Like, so we went live for it, Ryan. I think you popped in, right? So we were just hanging out. We were, just watching the game, and everybody was saying things like, the Jets need a quarterback that can compete with Mahomes, right? And I want to tell everybody, I disagree with that. Like, you don't need, like, there's only one Patrick Mahomes. If we get an Aaron Rodgers, he's one. You got a Tom Brady. There's a Peyton Manning, and that's all well and good. But you got to remember, it's not the quarterback that competes with Mahomes. It's Sauce and Reed and Michael Clemens and Quinnen. Those are the guys competing with Mahomes. All you need from your quarterback is time-consuming drives that end up in the end zone, Ryan. That's it. You don't have to have Mahomes. You know what I mean?
It's well put. I think when people are saying that, though, they're definitely saying we need to go toe-to-toe the same way we got all giddy about Sam Darnold going toe-to-toe with Aaron Rodgers at the end of his rookie year.
Yeah.
That's the type of caliber play you're hoping for. And like someone who turns around, hands the ball off, maybe like a Tannehill, is not really making me feel all warm and fuzzy going up against the other elite AFC quarterbacks.
Yeah, Tannehill's not the way. I don't like your poll one bit. I had to enter it.
Right? It makes my stomach squirm.
Yeah, it's I mean, look, the truth is, this is the way to look. It's like, we got to organize our thoughts properly. You can get mad about anything, right? You can go, oh, they fucking blew it, man. If they get this guy, it's a win. And we can do that up and down and all every day, and for many reasons. But the truth is, and this is, I think we may have discussed it, but if Ryan Tannehill, who I don't want, all right, but if Ryan Tannehill was on the 2022 Jets, do you think we make the playoffs?
I don't know. I was looking at that. So his stats this past year, he played 12 games. So I don't know how many Zach played, but it's probably ish in that ballpark.
Yeah, right.
You know, maybe 10 is what Zach played. They got 2,500 yards, so that is an average of 211 yards per game. He had 13 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. I don't think that gets us in. But he also had he got destroyed. His offensive line was horrible this past year. They lost so many people. So
even with those stats, what was his completion percentage? Did you say?
Completion percentage was 65.2%.
Yep. So do you don't think that 13 TDs, 6 picks? Let's say one of those touchdowns happens in the Patriots game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we're in.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess he's got more than a touchdown per game. 12 touchdowns over the course of 11 games is...
Yeah.
Or 13 touchdowns over the course of 12 games is, again, not great.
Yeah. I mean, you know, and the whole point
I see
is
what you're saying, though.
Right. We're not
you add an extra, 5 games? You're adding an extra probably... I mean, you're adding an extra at least 1,000 yards because that's what his per game average was. So you're talking 3,500 yards if you get the full season out of him. So it's not, it looks worse because you're missing those games, but the average maybe isn't as bad because maybe you're talking 18 touchdowns, 8-9 interceptions.
Yeah. But and that's the whole thing. It's like this team we have now, and it sucks because we don't know. There's always, we don't even know which players are going to be retained. You're going to lose guys who might not have McGovern or this guy or that guy. So you don't know what's going to happen next year. But the truth is this team was constructed to really compete in this window with Zach, right? Like it was constructed to compete and have this 2 or 3 year window with a rookie quarterback contract, right? That's what it was. And if Zach could have just been average, I think we have a case that we're a competing team. And then the defense has to shut down the great quarterbacks. And I don't get me wrong, I get it when, I understand, the whole thing, Sammy versus Rodgers. And you're right, they always do that. No matter how you slice it, it's the quarterback versus the quarterback. Peyton versus Brady. And it is to some degree, but as far as on the field, if you have a defense that can stymie Mahomes in the same way that this defense of ours makes Josh Allen have fits, we can do some stuff. So again, I don't want Ryan Tannehill. He's 35 years old, and he's just I didn't even like him coming out. I just didn't I don't like Ryan Tannehill, and he's fine, I guess. But even with that kind of play, I think we're a better team. Sad to say.
I mean, you're not wrong because our play has been so horrible. I every year I just sort of get stuck in this mindset of well, it can't be worse than last year. We went from 33rd ranked quarterback to 39th. It's son of a bitch. I'm never saying that again because Tannehill could come here and he's gonna play 40th. We're gonna find enough backup quarterbacks that screw us up. I don't know. Tannehill provides, I guess the way I was trying to rationalize it before was if you eliminate Carr and Rodgers, obviously those two are going to be at the top of the list for us. That's why the poll question in the live chat is Jimmy G or Ryan Tannehill, because that's the conversation I want to have. If the goal is I want to see Zach again next year, then you can probably go with either guy, whichever one you think you get a better deal on, whichever one you click better with. If the goal is to maybe not play Zach at all and you want to redshirt him, Tannehill may be the way you want to go. Just because he's not as injury prone as Jimmy Garoppolo. I'll be honest, I really, really hope it's Rodgers because I don't know if I can stomach watching Tannehill all season.
Yeah, why don't we just go out there right now and get Carr? Just get him. Okay, stop it.
Do you think do you think we're going to make because apparently the Jets called about Carr. We were the only other team to call about him other than the Saints. The Saints were the only team to get a trade accepted, which is interesting for a few reasons. I think one, it's smart for the Jets to make the call. One, because you want to see what's going on with Derek Carr. Two, because you want to at least put some pressure on Aaron Rodgers. If there's any thought he wants to come to New York, you want him to make that decision sooner rather than later, so that way you can move on. You don't want to just sit by as Carr goes to a different team and you didn't have any skin in the game. Now, the other side of that is, does Carr maybe see like, oh, well, the Jets tried to get me. They wouldn't even and there was no offer accepted. What could they possibly, maybe they're all in on me and they didn't want to trade me to the AFC. Like, you don't know what could be going through his head. And I think he's going to do a long tour of visits through a few different places. And I think if there is a top competitor, he'll get his first choice. And the rough thing is the entire NFC is kind of off limits for Rodgers, but it's entirely open to Carr. So the market for Carr is much larger than it is for Rodgers, I think.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think he should. Like, if it was me, I would take as much. Like, if I have 12 teams interested, I'm going to take all summer and I'm going to visit 12 cities. I'm going to be taken out, wined and dined by 12 different clubs. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna pick the place that I think is the best. But I think Derek Carr, and look, Aaron Rodgers has said it out loud, but I think Derek Carr feels the same way. I'm not going somewhere to be part of a rebuild. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm just not doing it at this point in my career. Derek Carr is 31, so he's not as old as Rodgers, but the same thing. He's been on this just very poorly managed team. He's been the one stalwart on this team of just changing, revolving characters from the coach to the coordinators to the defense to the receivers, the offensive line. Like, he's had just a revolving door of different people around him, and he's been the guy. He missed 2 games in 2 years, so he's been the one guy that's there. So I think he hasn't said it, but I think he's probably feeling the same way. Like, I'm not going to one of these teams that are going to take 3 years. Like, they're, and I don't even know if the coaches are any good or, whatever, man. Like, you have to look, and we could fall into that category for some people. But I think if you look at our team, man, just like Garrett Wilson said, look, why should Derek Carr come here? Or why should he said it for Aaron Rodgers. Why should Aaron Rodgers come here? Because we're better than the Raiders. That's why. Look around, man. And he's right. Like, our problem was quarterback, dude. All right? Yeah, we had offensive line issues. Even with our just myriad offensive line injuries, we were still not the worst offensive line in the NFL, not even in the bottom 5. So, our problem was quarterback, and I think that any quarterback can come here and see that, and including Derek Carr.
Ron Weiss comes in, says, you guys are missing the third piece of the rush of Jets talk. Yeah, we're missing O'Leary tonight. He is celebrating Valentine's Day with his lovely, lovely lady friend with some amazing Chick-fil-A. I'm jealous. Yeah. I want O'Leary to deliver me Chick-fil-A.
O'Leary's not committed, man. He's going to go do this girlfriend thing. What is this?
It's ridiculous.
We're crazy,
Absolutely. See, he'll realize once you get married, you escape to your office and you start talking Jets in the corner.
Once you live together and you're married, it's just like, hey, babe, I'm gonna do this. She's like, yeah, I don't give a shit. I'm gonna fucking watch.
She's like, go do it. I don't care. You're home. It's fine.
I don't care. It's real. It happens. I just went to a meeting with. That's why I was late. My wife picked up her 17-year medallion. A lot of people don't know what that is, but it's a big deal. And so I was there to support and listen to her cry in front of everybody and all that jazz. But other than that, like, what are we gonna do? We're gonna go fucking get and if you go out to eat on Valentine's Day, it's bullshit, man. They're limited menus for 3 times as much. You know what I mean?
Yep, it's busier. You're getting less service for more money. There's a longer wait. Becca and I haven't done Valentine's Day on Valentine's Day in years. Usually we'll make like pizza together on Valentine's Day, like at home, and then like we'll do something a little bit nicer. Like tomorrow is going to be more of our Valentine's Day because she works from home Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so we just kind of save an hour off her commute by doing it that way. So.
Yeah, you got to be smart about it. It's like going to get flowers. You can next week flowers are half price. Like,
yeah, it's like so we're gonna set our dates one date behind everything, and you're gonna get everything on sale. It'll be perfect. No lines.
Well, you got to celebrate it today, right, Ryan?
At Christmas, you'll get everything at the front of the line. You'll be perfect. You'll get the open box special too.
Exactly.
Jets Cubs fan says, don't you guys think Joe Douglas knows way more than we're hearing? I gotta believe that to keep my sanity. Yeah, 100%. I think Douglas and all the Jets know there's something going on. Like, I think there's too many breadcrumbs to like the Sauce knows something about something, and all the players are like kind of, excited. I feel like they all anticipate that it's going to be Rodgers, and I just don't know how it's going to affect the psyche of the locker room if it's not. Like, if it's not Carr, if it's not Rodgers, and we do wind up with Tannehill, those guys are fans just like we are. Like, yeah, they're the ones putting their bodies on the line each week, but I feel like they're going to be let down just as much, if not more, than we are.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. Gonna be, the whole. I mean, as far as Joe Douglas knowing stuff, I mean, like, 100%. You know what I mean? We don't know shit. We have nothing. I would say that, including the media, we probably have 20% of the story, including the insiders. They get 20%. Joe Douglas, dude, we didn't even know that he contacted Carr until I mean, it's been weeks for this.
Weird, yeah.
Know. And where'd that come from, So it's like, that came from the Raiders, not us. It doesn't come from us. This organization doesn't leak. And like you look at, we heard about the Elijah Moore thing. I mean, we didn't hear about it during it. Well, who do you think that was? That's probably LaFleur left. He wanted to point out that in my opinion, I think LaFleur dropped that bomb because he thinks it's landing like, look at these babies I got to deal with. But it didn't. It landed opposite of that. It landed like, yeah, everybody hates you, dude. You know what I mean? Yeah,
when there's enough people that are, feeling a certain way about someone, it's probably time for some inward reflection. It's like when you always get stuck with bad roommates, maybe there's a common denominator here.
That's it, man. There's a saying in my world, Ryan, if you see 3 assholes in one day, you're the 4th. Like, That's it. You can't run into that many. You can't have that many bad boyfriends or married to 5 terrible wives. You know what I mean? Like, it's you.
It doesn't work like that. It's a law of averages or whatever. RJ McPott comes in, says, any chance any of these quarterbacks are trying to play us? Maybe Carr to an extent. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. That would be interesting if it wasn't the Raiders that leaked that story, Green Bean. If it was like Roger, or if it was Carr leaking, like, oh yeah, the Jets were interested, but like I couldn't talk to them, and then all of a sudden, like, now we're being used as leverage, and we don't even have any skin in the game. I think it would look really bad if you had a situation where it was like, oh, we went after Peyton Manning, now we got to give Sanchez the extension. Oh, we went after Kirk Cousins, we flubbed it up, now we got to trade all our picks up to go get Sam Darnold. And like, I don't want that type of over reaction or like swing back to like try and correct, maybe a pursuing of something. I don't know. Is there anything to that? Like, do you think there's optics for other teams and other players? Like, if we swing big for Derek Carr and it's, doesn't work out, he picks somewhere else, does that make us look worse?
I guess it could. And look, there's people out there like, look, there's a bunch of boo birds, there's a bunch of grumpkins, right? Like, no matter what happens. I mean, I got into this lengthy debate, Ryan, that Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner winning Rookie of the Year, they're trying to tell me it's not a big deal. Like, that we're supposed to hit on top 10 pick. I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, it's not a fucking big deal. It's never happened. It's happened 3 times in NFL history, and the Jets have never had one on the offensive side. What do you mean? So no matter what happens, there's going to be those people waiting to pounce, right? No matter what. Now, I think as far as our reputation in the places where it's important, and that's with agents and players, right? Fans, we're going to be here nonetheless. We're going to boo, we're going to cheer. It doesn't matter. We are what we are. But you want agents and players to look at the organization in a light that says, look, we can go there and it's a smart move, right? So if Derek Carr decides to leverage us, which is totally possible, like, You know, I mean, it's absolutely like you said. What if it's Derek Carr dropping that out there, and he's trying to get, hey man, you're not the only team, buddy. You better offer me another $5 million. You know, whatever it is. Absolutely, I think that's totally possible. I am also of the belief that last year in the Tyreek Hill thing, I think the Jets wanted Tyreek Hill, but I also think like the Jets were very happy that, you know, they pushed that deal went high to the point where Joe Douglas called it reckless, and then Miami had to take that. So they lost the first round picks and all. So I think teams do this all the time. Does it make Miami look bad? Not when Tyreek Hill's looking like he's doing 300 yards a game and shit, 250 and, you know.
Yeah, but think about what it meant for us to not get him. Like, one, you don't get tied up with the contract. Two, if you do trade for Tyreek Hill, you wouldn't have taken Garrett Wilson at number 10, and you wouldn't have had the ammo to go up and get Trumaine Johnson or Breece Hall. It's amazing how that one trade flips three different players.
I mean, everything. I mean, what if we traded the 10th for Deebo Samuel and their second? You know, we're not talking about Garrett Wilson. We're talking about Deebo Samuel, and we have another huge contract. And we can't pay a quarterback. We have to bargain bin shop Minshew, or we have to just ride with Zach. You know, one way or the other. Like, I mean, because it is a shame, dude. I mean, even though I'd be very happy with Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers, to a lesser degree, because I'm afraid of injury. Jimmy G, I think his play is great, but it's just, you know. And some other guys, but I think it's just such a bummer, because imagine what we could do this year if we didn't have to pull out $40 million for a quarterback, and while paying $10 million or $9 million. You know, so Zach not materializing is a real big hit to the plan. The plan was working. You know what I mean? It's working. Everything's in place. And we got this kid that's scared shitless, man, to be on an NFL field, you know? Like he said in his last interview, Ryan, is like, well, what do you think? He's like, guys, I don't know what to tell you, man. I can't get in the rhythm. I can't.
Yeah, it's between the ears for Zach. I really think that's what it is. Because when he came in, I didn't feel like those mechanics were so off. When I watched him through, now granted, it's preseason that first year, but I'm watching preseason and I'm watching like after he comes back from the injury with Beck and everything. I'm like, man, this is not the guy that like, is so concerning. I'm not concerned about Zach at this point, but now I am. I'm not sure. Tony says Zach is better in the red zone than Derek Carr. Help. I actually don't know what Derek Carr's numbers are in the red zone. I know last year they were really bad.
It's not true, dude. It's like, here, look.
We've got our Derek buddy Carr. Richie joining. What's up, Richie?
Yo, thanks for having me, man.
Good to have you on.
Look at that
What's
guy.
Up, chat?
Yeah.
Look at that guy. Look at him. He's here.
I miss you guys, man. It's been the off season. We got a lot to talk about, I'm sure, but what an off season so far.
Yeah. So the last super chat we brought up real quick, and then I'll get your thoughts on some of the stuff we were talking about before. Tony says Zach is better in the red zone than Carr. Richie, any thoughts on this, or do you think maybe this is a little recency bias on Carr?
Is this like a troll, or is this a real?
Well, I think this year, I think the Raiders were the worst red zone team, if I'm not mistaken. They were bad.
Okay. Then if that's what he's referring to, I mean, we literally couldn't score. We were the worst red zone team. I don't know what the Raiders are doing, but I watched every single quarter, every single second of the Jets, just like every single one of you guys did in the chat. And I think we can all agree that we were the worst red zone team. I don't care what the numbers say, because that's what it felt like, at least, right? So Zach Wilson is not better in the red zone because Derek Carr maybe last year didn't prove it, but Derek Carr's the seasoned vet, and he's done it before in the red zone. I can bet you on that. So I don't know, man. Zach Wilson, we'll see his future with the Jets, but I have to deal with the same questions on my channel as well.
Donald comes in. Donald says, so what's the chances of us getting Carr or Aaron Rodgers? I get the feeling we don't have a real good shot at Derek Carr. I don't think we're actually actively going after him, which really bothers me. Like, even though we put in the call about him, I think that was more of a tip of the hand of like, hey, Rodgers, make a decision. Otherwise, we're going to start looking at Carr. We're going to start looking at Jimmy G. Or we're going to start talking about Tannehill. Like, I think it's almost more of a push. I think Rodgers is far more likely than it is Carr. Matt, your thoughts? Or Matt, Green Bean. Your thoughts?
Hey,
Carr
I'll be
or
Matt.
Rodgers? Dude, I'm all over the place tonight. Sorry.
I want to officially say hello to Richie, though. It's nice to have you on here, buddy.
Yeah.
It's good to see
I
you.
probably should have done a little bit more of an introduction here. That was terrible.
No. I'm not saying that. That's not a critique on you. I just, for myself, personally, want to say hello. It's nice to see Richie. It is. He's a good dude. And I like
Green Bean,
Richie.
it's nice to see you too, man. I miss you. I miss you a lot.
Yeah. We should do something. Let's talk after
We
this.
should. You know what? I'm texting you right after the show, or we can talk about it right here with the people watching when we can get each other on our channel.
Awesome. I love it. Okay, we'll do
Love
that.
to see you.
So let me say this about the red zone. Like, look, there's lots of reasons for lots of things, right? We all know that, right? So there's lots of, but just putting it out there, Zach Wilson was the 33rd ranked quarterback in red zone efficiency. I believe Derek Carr is 25th. So not great as far as red zone efficiency, right? This past year. But I mean, can we stop? Like there is no worse than Zach Wilson, guys. There's just it just doesn't. Let me look at this. Who's worse than Zach Wilson? Let me see. Oh, it says Mac Jones, Mitch Trubisky.
That makes me feel good.
I don't know, man. These stats and everything, but can we just stop? Like, what does Zach have? Fucking 6 touchdowns this year? You know what I mean? Like, can we just look? We all root for Zach. I hope
it's low-hanging fruit.
You know what I mean? Like, I hope he can become something, of course. But can we just stop with this stuff about Zach was better? The only person Zach was even slightly better than was Streveler. That's it. And I don't even think so, actually.
I'm not sure if that's true.
I don't even actually. I take that back.
I don't have stats to back that up.
I'm sorry, but yeah, come on, guys. Like, you know,
Green Bean, Carr or Rodgers? Who's more likely?
I think this is what I think. I think that, like the super chat a few minutes ago said, Joe Douglas has stuff in the works. I think that Carr is. I'm sorry. I think Rodgers is more likely, and I believe that it's all already worked out. That's what I believe.
Richie, what about you? Carr or Rodgers?
Green Bean and I are aligned, baby. Aaron Rodgers to the Jets is already a done deal, in my mind at least. Probably not in real life, but Aaron Rodgers needs to be a Jet. And I honestly think that the New York Jets are, and this is not me having any sources or anything, I don't. This is just speculation, but I really feel like the New York Jets are way more interested in getting Aaron Rodgers than Derek Carr. I just feel like it makes way too much sense, and for a lot of reasons. And I just feel like, you know, there's so much reports and so much just being dragged around. And you see this source, you see that person, just every second you hear a different report. You don't know what to follow. But the stars are aligned for Aaron Rodgers. And to me, I had to rank it personally. It's Aaron Rodgers number 1, Derek Carr number 2, and then a big gap in between Jimmy G and Ryan Tannehill. But I think when it comes to the chances, I think there's a more likely chance of the Jets getting Aaron Rodgers than Derek Carr, because we're hearing that the Saints are the front runner for Derek Carr. And now Derek Carr is officially a free agent. And guess what? He can literally sign any second. But I think he's going to take his time. He's probably going to want to visit other teams. It's going to be very interesting to see if the Jets visit with Derek Carr, because we know that the Jets reached out to the Raiders just to check in on what a trade compensation would be like. And by the way, the Jets and the Saints were the only ones to do that, according to that report. So, you know, the Jets are interested in Derek Carr, and we also saw the report of Connor Hughes that they're interested in Ryan Tannehill. And I know a lot of people are panicking about that, but the reality is the Jets got to do their homework on all these quarterbacks, because guess what, guys? Just because they have Rodgers number 1, Carr number 2, Rodgers can retire for all we know. Carr can go with the Saints for all we know. And if that's the case, the Jets got to be prepared for plan B and plan C. And I know that I'm not saying we should be happy about plan B and plan C, but it doesn't shock me that these reports are coming out that they're interested in other guys like Tannehill, because that's the type of quarterback you got to pivot to if the top A guys are not available.
So I have a live poll in the live chat right now. Who do you prefer, Jimmy G or Ryan Tannehill? So Richie, you're leaning on the Jimmy Garoppolo train.
So like I said, man, it's Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, big gap, and then Jimmy G.
Trust me, I've had a lot of people hate this fucking poll tonight. They're like, "What are you doing to us?" I was like, "I'm sorry."
It's bad. But listen, it's such a toss-up because there's connections. We're both right. Ryan Tannehill with Downing that we just hired, Salah and Jimmy G. Jimmy G's been to the Super Bowl before. He's been to a championship before. Ryan Tannehill, he's been to the championship before. Jimmy G is very injury prone, and that's my biggest gripe with him. And also Ryan Tannehill was a little banged up this past season as well. So they kind of feel like the same quarterback. But at the end of the day, man, when it comes to familiarity and, just someone that if someone hypothetically they're healthy, they're playing 17 games and the durability factor's out the door, I might lean more towards Jimmy Garoppolo over Ryan Tannehill because I think Ryan Tannehill is a quarterback that's just really capped. Like he's just like, what you're getting. He's a veteran. He's going to scan a defense. He's going to feed but can he get you over the hump? And then you might ask yourself, well, can Jimmy G get you over the hump? Maybe not, but it's really crazy because I really feel like they're both on the same level, and it's really hard for me to make that decision right now, Ryan, because I hadn't really thought of that, and now you're asking me on the spot, and I'm like, who the heck would I prefer? Like, because guess what? I don't prefer either of them, and I want freaking Aaron Rodgers or Carr. That's my answer.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good answer. And I completely agree with you. I think it's almost like looking at two different sides of the same coin with Jimmy G and Ryan Tannehill. I feel like if you are more than okay, like if you think you could, you'd be willing to go back to Zach at some point this year, then maybe you lean more towards Jimmy Garoppolo. I think if you're trying to redshirt Zach, I think you have a better chance of Tannehill staying healthy. But I think, like you said, you're probably capped with Tannehill. They clearly tried to hide him in the playoffs, 2 years ago, I think it was. With Jimmy Garoppolo, I feel like you can get to that Super Bowl with him. He just needs to stay healthy. And that, to me, I think is the little give and take that they're going to be struggling with for sure. I was just curious because it seems like the fan base is pretty much all in on Rodgers or Carr. And when those two decisions are finally made, it's going to be interesting to see where the rest of the chips wind up falling. Ant Jets drops in with a 22 a month of membership super chat, says, wool dryer sheets to think that we picked Mike Nugent 23 picks after a player we are trying to acquire 18 years later, says all you need to know about this franchise. It never occurred to me that Aaron Rodgers, we took Nugent in the second round because we didn't have the first round pick that year. Was that the... 04. Who did we trade that for? Was that I feel like we traded for like a tight end or something.
Why didn't we have a first?
Yeah, what was that year? Was that because we traded up
we
the year prior?
We didn't have a first that year because we traded it for tight end. I always want to say Ricky Dudley,
Jolly, isn't it? Doug Jolly?
Doug Jolly. That's what
that's what I was like. I thought it was a tight end.
Terry Bradway, another slam dunk GM we had. Killer.
Ugh.
Super smart guy.
Terrible. Knifey Spoony drops in, says, if we miss out on Aaron Rodgers and Carr and end up with the second tier like Tannehill or Mayfield, should we re-sign White and make it a camp competition? I have a really hard time seeing Mike White back in green and white. I think he knows that Zach Wilson is the future here. Even if a vet quarterback is in here, those are going to be like the two guys that we're going to have most of our focus on. I get the feeling if I'm Mike White, I would try to go maybe to LA, follow LaFleur over there, back up Stafford, and then maybe you could be the heir apparent to Stafford when he eventually retires. I don't see a path forward with White in New York because of everything that's kind of gone on the last part of the season. Richie, I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big Mike White guy. Some people say I look like Mike White because I am Mike White. But listen, I've always looked at Mike White, even like this past season, I was looking at him like, I want that guy to be my franchise backup quarterback. Like, yes. I want him to be a Jet for life, and he's our backup because we know as Jets fans way too well, unfortunately, that we don't know what it's like to have a quarterback that, one, plays good, and number two, stays healthy. So no matter who the quarterback is, I want to be comfortable of whoever the guy that steps in. And I feel like Mike White has proven to be not a franchise quarterback, but he's proven to be a guy where I have confidence in him. to be a backup. But the problem is we also have Zach Wilson, and it does seem like the Jets are really focused in on Zach Wilson's development. And I know the best case scenario is you go and get yourself Rodgers or Carr or someone, and then you can hope this isn't realistic, but this is best case scenario from my opinion. You get Aaron Rodgers, you re-sign Mike White, and you go into training camp with Aaron Rodgers, Mike White, and Zach Wilson. But the issue there is finances. Are you going to be able to pay Mike White on top of Aaron Rodgers and build out the roster to add depth at the offensive line that we need desperately and all these other positions? Because Mike White might be looking for a big contract. Not a big contract, but I feel like he's proven to be a quality backup in this league, borderline starter for some team, I guess, if they're really that desperate. But listen, if I'm the Jets, I would try to my best to re-sign Mike White and have – because there's nothing wrong with depth at the quarterback position. And we saw it last year that doesn't matter who's playing, someone's destined to go down. And say we do bring in Derek Carr, and unfortunately I know he's durable, but say he does go down, and then Zach Wilson's the guy, and Zach Wilson, little injury prone, he's proven. And then what if he goes down? Like, I'd love to go into the season with 3 quarterbacks, because last year we kind of did have 3 quarterbacks, and they all played, they all stunk, but we did have 3. So best case scenario for me, I know it's a little unrealistic, but I'd love to keep Mike White on top of getting a veteran.
So I like this question from Donald Johnson. I'm going to change it up a little bit. He says, okay, if we miss out on Aaron Rodgers and Derek Carr, he says, get Lamar. Now, I want to talk to both you guys. In the event we miss out on Carr and Rodgers, and we were to make a big swing, like we're not talking Jimmy G, we're not talking Tannehill, that next level big swing, I don't see Lamar. I think Lamar would be traded to the NFC. I would be very surprised if he came and stayed in the AFC, given the fact that he's 26 years old. But that would be an option, for sure, I think. I would say the 2 other quarterbacks that may end up being moved, one I want no part of, the other is interesting. The first one, Kyler Murray, not going to be an option for us. He's going to be out for probably half the season. He's due $36 million the 10th day of the new league year. So if there's a season for the Cardinals to tank, it might be take the dead cap hit this year and get the picks now versus trying to get 2 years of tanking and getting rid of Kyler after the year. I do not think he's going to stay there long term. I think that's the reason they had trouble trying to get a head coach at this particular point in time. The other quarterback I'm interested in is Dak Prescott, and I feel like there's almost an option in Dallas where they are not sure if he's the guy, and I'm not sure if he is either. When he was a free agent, I liked him a little bit more, but now we've got to see him with like the offensive line, we've seen him with the running backs, we've seen him with the receivers, we've seen him with a stout defense, and he still couldn't get it done in an otherwise subpar conference. Is that on him? Is it coaching? Like, where would either of these quarterbacks fall? Or are there any other quarterbacks that could be out on the market in the event Rodgers and Carr wind up, going elsewhere here? Green Bean, I'll throw it over to you first, then we'll get Richie's thoughts.
Well, what's the actual question though? That was a lot. That was a lot.
Sorry. Quarterback wise, if you miss out on Carr and Rodgers, is there another big swing that the Jets could take out there?
Yeah. All right. Let me say this. I don't want Dak Prescott. I think it would be a dump by Dallas, and we would be hoping that one man's trash is another man's treasure, and the Jets rarely do that. Okay, that's not our role in the NFL. Okay,
I feel like I should look up what his contract would be too, just so we do know.
Yeah,
what
he just signed that. Remember, he just signed that big one, and
so he's got 2 years.
Yeah, Jerry Jones came out and said, I know I'm overpaying. Remember, everything I've ever liked or ever bought that was good, I overpaid for. Right, so he said that.
So he would be cheaper. He would be cheaper than Carr. It'd be $31 million and then $31 million, then $34 million these next 2 years. And then the third year, his contract voids and you would not be able to franchise tag him, but he would be finishing his 31-year-old season at the expiration of these 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look, cheaper. Right. Okay. So he's cheaper than Carr. He's a lot of money, but look, like you said, though, man, I mean, he's got everything, right? And he just, I don't know. You know what I mean? He's just, I don't know. He doesn't look all that great. I never really loved Dak Prescott. I didn't hate him, and he's had obviously his good stretches and everything, but I just never loved him. I didn't like him, I just didn't think he was like one of the elite quarterbacks, and they were paying him like one and that whole thing. The Lamar Jackson thing, guys, I just want to point out that the team that has him They say they're $100 million off. Ryan said that's only 2 years of contract at $50 million a year. Why don't the Ravens want to give him that? Why? They're the team that has him. They're risking losing him. Why? You want to know why? Because the guy can't stay healthy for shit, and they don't want to commit to 6 years of that. That's my thought on it. So why would we? Why would we? The Ravens are known as a smart organization. They very rarely, if ever, get raked over the coals. They just don't. They're a smart organization. Why would we sweep in and kind of save them and give them 3 firsts and pay him $50 million for 6 years when the last 2 seasons he missed the last 5 games of the year? I mean, that paints a picture, doesn't it? So Lamar scares the living hell out of me. Dak Prescott, I don't love. Now, look, if either one came, I'd be excited. They're very good. They're clearly talented guys. I'd be excited. I'd be rooting. But they scare the living hell out of me. And I think durability is one of the things I really want to see, which is why I like Aaron Rodgers and Derek Carr so much. Carr missed, 2 games in 9 years, and Carr has had 2 seasons with less than 15 games, something along those lines. That, to me, is worth its weight in gold. Like, we haven't seen that. When's the last quarterback that made it through a season here? Can anybody think of him? It's not McCown. It's Fitzpatrick, I think. No, he didn't either, because Geno came back in, because Geno came in for a game. So we haven't had a quarterback that just was healthy all year since Sanchez, I think. Geno, maybe. I don't know. But it's been a long time, man. So that, to me, is very important. I don't know. I think if we can't get Carr or Rodgers, I'd like to see him go Gardner Minshew. Yeah, that's right. You heard it. That's what I want.
That means why I'm hopeful that we can get Mike White so we can have some type of insurance back, even though it's not realistic.
So, Richie, who's your big swing if we don't get Carr or Rodgers?
Yeah, great question. The big swing, the obvious answer is, like Green Bean alluded to, Lamar Jackson. But is that, someone that you want to give up your entire future for? Because the durability is a big freaking issue with him. And Green Bean brings up an excellent point. Why would the Baltimore Ravens, a stout organization that's won Super Bowls and always been, it feels like, in the playoffs every other year to that point, want to give up on him? And I think the easy answer to that question is because he is not a quarterback that seems to be able to stay healthy, especially this past season. The Ravens were contending to, by the way, win their division all season long. They were in first place in the AFC North. Don't forget that. The Cincinnati Bengals won 8 games straight at the end, and that's when Lamar Jackson got injured, which is the result of the Ravens getting that wild card spot, which was, I think, the highest wild card spot. And listen, the Ravens organization, they've proven that they can win without him. But Lamar Jackson, if you take in the durability aside and you're looking at it from the perspective that the New York Jets, this is the time to take their swing at the quarterback. Do you want to risk? Is the risk worth the reward, right? If Lamar Jackson does become to the New York Jets and he is healthy, is he going to make that much of a difference where it's worth the risk? I think so, because if he is healthy, Lamar Jackson is a freaking dynamic quarterback that can do things that we haven't seen in a freaking long-ass time, and he's a generational style quarterback that can really just be a playmaker, and we'd be able to do a lot of fun, awesome things with Lamar Jackson out there. But at the end of the day, man, he is the one quarterback that, kind of makes me a little worried just because of the capital you have to give up. If it wasn't for 3 potential first-round picks on top of that fully guaranteed contract that he's looking for 6 years, I'd be on board. But the fact that that's how much you got to give up, of course, I'm going to be a little worried about that. But with that being said, if Lamar Jackson ends up being a Jet, I'll be freaking so excited, just like every single Jets fan. But we all have that little worry. To stay healthy. Every time he's going to get hit, we're all going to have a pit in our stomach because we've never seen a quarter. I don't think I've ever seen a quarterback play a full season in my life, even though I probably have when I was younger. But it's just, at least in the last 15 years,
it's rare in the NFL. In general, I feel like most players in the league will miss a game or two, and I feel like you should almost have a standard deviation of where you don't penalize a player's health availability because it's just such a violent game. Because like Green Bean said, even Fitzpatrick, who I feel did play a full season for us, wound up missing a game, and I feel like that's sort of ish natural. Jalen Hurts missed 2 games. Gardner Minshew wound up playing. It's interesting. Lamar Jackson, I feel is a victim of the quarterback market, and it's a mixture of his play style and a bad contract given to Deshaun Watson when there's an MVP caliber quarterback in Lamar sitting right there waiting to get his payday. I see why Lamar's pissed off, but the Ravens have the franchise tag at their disposal, and now that they've brought Todd Monken in, I think they're more than likely going to hold on to him and try to develop him a little bit more as a passer. Mutt Viles drops in, says, thank you on the preach about Valentine's Day on the 14th. LOL, Rodgers or Carr have to be the answer, but watch, somehow we end up with Dak or Herbert. If we wind up with Herbert, I would trade every pick we have for the next 3 years to get Justin Herbert. Yeah. He's incredible.
How did he land there? How did we get Herbert in this conversation? How did that happen?
So the idea is that the Chargers are not going to pay Herbert what he should be paid because they don't actually have fans. Like, they don't actually have a cash-rich organization that can afford that type of contract. I think that's pretty much where that's going. Now, I don't know what their largest contract they've ever given out was. I would imagine probably Bosa or maybe Rivers at some point. But I don't know. I feel like contracts exploded after Rivers kind of started the downtick of his career. So we'll see. Mutt Viles also drops in and says, Richie, love you, man, but you look like you're about to cry. It's because he's not sure if we're going to get Aaron Rodgers. Is TD and Dan messing with you about the franchise? Don't worry about it. They will be in the basement, and we will see Rodgers coming home to New York. Let's fucking go.
So what he's referring to is, for anybody that doesn't know, I represent the New York Jets for the AFC East Roundtable. That's live every Wednesday night, and we just made a Madden 23 franchise, and we did a whole fantasy draft. It's a lot of fun, and I'm getting my ass kicked. I'm 0-3 in the league, representing the Jets, and Geno Smith's my quarterback. Saquon's my running back, and haven't been doing too well. You can go watch the streams if you want. It's funny to see me get my ass kicked, but TD and Dan are just as bad. I'm better than them. I can say that for sure. But that's what he's referring to.
We got to get a Jets war zone going on in here. I like it. Finger Lakes says Zach can be the Mormon clipboard Jesus. Yeah, we want him sitting, behind like an actual quarterback here. Donald John says, okay, if we get A-Rod, what do we do with Flacco? I think that's what you're trying to say. Get rid of him. He's done. I'm sorry. Flacco's not going to be here. Daniel Bloom drops in 2020, 2021 red zone quarterback stats. Rodgers had 58 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Tannehill had 45 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Carr had 33 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Jimmy Garoppolo, 21 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Zach only has 15 career touchdowns. Ugh. Well, this makes me feel better about the red zone with any of these quarterbacks. Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate that. Richie,
specialist with Rodgers with those stats in that year.
What was that?
Anybody know who the red zone specialist during that Aaron Rodgers 2020-2021 season was?
I'm going to say Todd Downing.
No.
Rats. I don't know.
Nathaniel Hackett.
There it is.
I thought you said Carr. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, Hackett never coached Carr. Sorry, I'm off my game tonight. Man.
We're all off. But that's why Rodgers to the Jets needs to freaking happen.
We need it. Speak it into existence.
Already done.
Greenman, what do you think about these numbers here? It's kind of nice seeing the red zone numbers of all 4 quarterbacks substantially better than our own.
Well, right. I know. It's the saddest thing in the world, guys. We haven't seen 10 touchdowns in a season. I mean, this is why it's so funny. When I see Jets fans, poo-pooing one. And I know people say that to me too. How the hell could you be worried about having a quarterback like Lamar Jackson? I hear you, man. But giving $50 million and 3 first-round picks to get that's where it all you got to look at all this stuff. How many games do these guys play? All right, a year. For how long, right? How many great years or even above average years have they had? All right. How consistent are they? And how has the organization been around them? All those kinds of things. But when you look at guys like Rodgers, 58 touchdowns, Tannehill, I don't like Tannehill, but let's be real. He's been significantly better. Even his Miami days, man, when he was thrown away, have been better than Sam and Zach. You know, I mean, he's never been as bad as Sam or Zach. We've had the worst, like 32, dude, not 18, not, I don't know, 23rd. He's kind of a bad quarterback. No. Last, worst. That's what we've been watching. Worst. So that's like, do I want this? See, the thing is, this is an opportunity, right? That's what this is. It's an opportunity. You'd hate to see us with this opportunity come away with a 35-year-old Ryan Tannehill. I think that's where it falls, you know? You'd like to see him come away with an Aaron Rodgers or, for me, a Derek Carr. All these idiots, every one of you that doesn't like Derek Carr, you're a fucking moron. Every single one of you, all right? That's what I got to say. So, but for me, Derek Carr, you could prefer someone else, but the guy's a 4,000-yard, 65% completion percentage, 2-to-1 touch his whole career, 5 offensive coordinators, 4 head coaches. Like, give me a break. No offensive line, never higher than 20th defense. I don't want to hear it. You could prefer someone else, but he would be great over here. But, like, you'd like to think that we can come away with a Rodgers or a Carr or even a Lamar, somebody exciting. Tannehill comes over and you're like, he's better than Zach. Like, that's what we get.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That sucks.
Yeah, I feel like there's
don't want Derek Carr on the Jets at all.
You are such a liar. You are such a liar.
I wasn't talking to you. I'm just, everybody knows I'm kidding.
I'm totally kidding, Green Bean.
Yeah, everybody knows I'm kidding, except that I'm totally not.
I want him.
No, I think anyone who's like totally against Carr, I do think is a complete, asshat. I'm sorry. Like, if you want to say, okay, I don't want him because you don't think he can win the Super Bowl, like, that's the only thing that I'm kind of like, maybe. But, like, I don't even agree with that because you don't win a Super Bowl until you win a Super Bowl. Like, Stafford took forever to win a Super Bowl. He's a good quarterback. I don't think I don't know. I think Derek Carr is just fine. People just get all fired up about stuff.
I do want to bring up, like, why are we talking about Herbert? Like
I don't know where
it's because he's due the monster contract. Yeah, it's just because he's due the monster contract now. If they want to pay him now, it's after 3 years he can renegotiate.
Ryan, can they have a team if they can't pay? Like, you have to at least have the capital to meet the salary cap. You have to. So the contract goes in escrow if it's over $15 million guaranteed. So anything $15 million or below does not get escrowed. So like the big quarterback contracts, that's what creates the issue. Now, I don't know. They just built like a $4 billion stadium out in LA. I can't imagine them not having the funds to pay Herbert. Like, they want to.
He's going to get that extension. So sorry to break the news to you guys in the chat. Herbert to the Jets ain't happening.
Yeah. No, completely agree. Mutt Viles says, I took our rookie class with the Seahawks.
Yeah, so
is he in He did that to my fantasy team this past year, too, Mutt Viles. Jerk. Screwed me over.
I love him.
Oh, he's a good dude. We like him. William Sprague says, my dad took me to Super Bowl III in Miami. I was 8. Very cool. That's awesome. Yeah. Was it in black and white or was it colored?
Right. When you were there. Was it black and white when you were live? That's great. That's fantastic.
See, that's what happens when you become a dad. Richie, you wind up having these stupid jokes too consistently.
Funny. I think it's great. I love dad jokes.
I know you would, Green Bean. See, we are cut of the same cloth.
You're such a
or
dad,
near
right?
the same cloth. I know. It's great. Blitz Crew drops in, says, thoughts on national anthem and halftime performances? I think they were solid. If we are redshirting Zach, who's the backup? Yeah, I thought the anthem was good, and I thought the halftime performance was impressive. I mean, after watching Becca go through pregnancy this past year and seeing Rihanna do that like 50, 75 feet in the air or whatever the hell she was doing, props to her. And I think it's even more props when you like. I think the memes are pretty funny that are coming out of it. Of like, I'm trying to think of the one like ASAP. Now you know why they call him ASAP. He's coming too fast. I'm just like, oh, this is like, I find all that stuff very funny. But I thought the halftime show was good. I think we're not seeing the extra performers like we used to, because I could be wrong on this, but I think the performers now bid for the Super Bowl as opposed to like the sponsor paying that person to perform. So instead of like, oh, we got to put on a spectacle, it's like this person wants to be like the sole focus of it because it's going to drive their record sales. That's the one thing that I think maybe, you know, sort of ish gets lost. But I liked it. I thought the Super Bowl was good. I thought it was one of the better games we've had in a long time. Richie, your thoughts on the Super Bowl and the performances?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the performances were great. You know, at this point, you're just expecting lip singing, so it's not really that much of a disappointment on that end because it's what you expect. But I just feel like the whole visual and the whole extras and her whole aura and her energy and her whole presence was awesome. And Rihanna's great. I mean, how can you not like Rihanna? She's one of the best at what she does. So I thought that was awesome. And the game as a whole was freaking awesome. I won a lot of money. I won on my boxes. I was like red hot. I had a Super Bowl party at my house, and I just kept making live bets of like who's going to score the next touchdown, and I kept hitting. And my friends were like, "What the heck?" Like I just kept winning. It was crazy. And I also picked my own numbers. I picked 4-4 because on a sports book, I don't know if you guys know this, but you can like on the Super Bowl, you can pick your own numbers instead of getting screwed over with numbers. Like if you just do it through a pool. So I picked 4-4. And at halftime, it was 24-14. So it hit. So it was up a lot of money for the Super Bowl, and I usually don't have that much luck when it comes to bets. But I wanted the Chiefs to win, and they did. I bet on the Chiefs to win a lot of money, and I thought it was a great game. It was very, very good Super Bowl. I enjoyed it. And I cooked 85 wings, by the way, homemade wings. Ooh. I still have like 30 left over. So if anyone wants wings, I'll ship it to you because I get them out of here. I'm so sick of them. They're delicious, though.
Too many chicken wings. I almost made a little bit of money. I had a 7 or 8 leg parlay, and the one leg that didn't hit was Patrick Mahomes over 299. And I was like, son of a bitch. I was like, I thought that one was going to be a lock because of the Eagles like going off. I was like, come on. I didn't expect them to run as much as they did. I thought that was.
I had a whole big parlay as well, and everything hit, but I had Mahomes over like 275. And I was like, damn it. Throw the ball, Mahomes. I know that the ground game's working, but throw it.
Mm-hmm. Wound up missing out. I think I bet like I usually throw like $5 bets, and I do a bunch of parlays, and then it's like, oh, you know, if this one hits, I win $80 instead of, you know, whatever. So I missed like $150 on my $15 bets. So not the worst thing. Right, Greeny, what do you think about the anthem and the performances?
Well, let me ask this real quick. Are we at a place where we call lip syncing good performances? Is that what we do now? Or is that where we are? I need to know. I'm old. I get it.
I don't know how many actual performances are not lip synced for the Super Bowl. I would be surprised if we
sing is considered good. Prince didn't lip sync, baby. Either did Paul McCartney or
you know who was really good? Bruno Mars was filthy.
Dr. Dre, they didn't lip sync.
That's fair.
Dr. Dre last year, right? Eminem, they weren't lip syncing.
That was a good halftime show.
They were blowing your doors off. Yo, why we got to fucking lip sync? Like, what is this?
I thought the songs were good. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't there. I didn't pay for a concert. I'm there to watch a game, and the music came second. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just asking for a friend.
Yeah. You weren't impressed with either?
I didn't even turn the sound on. I could give two shits. I knew it was going to be lip synced. You know what I mean? Like, look, she's pregnant. You can give some points for that, right? She did all that whole thing. That's nice. Mm-hmm. You know, I get it. She's pretty. I understand the songs are good. I mean, you know, whatever. I don't dislike Rihanna, but it's like, again, I just don't know why we call it a performance and we're listening to a tape. Like, what is it?
That's what it is. It's like they're playing the actual song and then they're singing over it, but the audio of the mic is not even as loud, so we can't hear the natural voice because they're playing the actual song. So it's like,
I feel like she'd be sucking wind. Like, I don't think you could be pregnant doing all those moves and like not huffing and puffing. Like I don't know if there was any other way to do that halftime show.
Yeah, well, right, when they're dancing all around, but wouldn't it be better if you like heard that? Like let me tell you something. When what's her name? Beyonce, and then she brought Destiny's Child out there, dude, they were singing. And that was badass. And you could hear the flaws and you could hear the breathe and like they were, dude, that's impressive. It does something to you when there's someone listening to a tape. I don't know, man.
Well, I mean, we've had the other end of this coin too. I mean, we've had awful live performances. That Black Eyed Peas performance might have been the worst I've ever seen.
Was
Now,
it?
I don't know if
I
that's.
don't remember.
Oh, dude, I feel like that was probably 2010, 11, 12, somewhere in that, ballpark stretch there. And I don't know if I've ever seen a worse performance than the Black Eyed Peas, I think. And that was like when they had like that banger of an album like 2 years earlier. It's like, oh, wow, they're like going to be all right for halftime show. No. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember. Which Super Bowl? How long ago was it? I mean,
That had to be close to 10 years ago. Someone let us know when the Black Eyed Peas Super Bowl performance was. I think it was like 2011 or 12. It was somewhere. It was pretty long ago. But as far as redshirting Zach, who's the backup? If we're redshirting Zach because we have Rodgers or someone else in front of him, I think there's 100% shot that Zach is the backup quarterback. I don't think he sits as quarterback 3. As far as quarterback 3 goes, if it's Rodgers as the starter, I think Streveler is quarterback 3. Yeah, I don't think we're rolling with 3 quarterbacks on the roster with Rodgers or even Carr for that matter. I feel like we'd probably be okay rolling with Zach as the backup. When you get down to Jimmy G, now you're probably talking, okay, we need a legitimate backup. I don't know. I would say undrafted free agent or a later round draft pick more than likely. Richie, what about you? Where do you think the backup quarterback lies for the New York Jets?
I just want to figure out the starter first. I mean,
Yeah.
It's like distraught.
Give me my starter first, and then I'll answer this question. No, but I'll go back to my same question. Give me Mike White. But no, I think Zach Wilson's the backup. I think that they're committed to his development, and I think that it wouldn't do him justice if they do the same thing that they did last year of when he was initially benched of redshirting in terms of just inactive in street clothes. Like Zach Wilson needs to be prepared for every game as the backup this upcoming season, no matter who the starter is. So I think that's what they're going to do. I think Chris Streveler is going to be their guy, but I also wouldn't sleep on the Jets bringing in another veteran because the one thing I learned about Joe Douglas is he prioritizes depth and he wants a good quarterback room. He doesn't just have one good quarterback. And I feel like you could also say Joe Douglas has never really had a quarterback so far when he's on the Jets where you can say like 100% this guy's like good. Like if you got Aaron Rodgers, do you really have to worry about the depth at the quarterback spot or Derek Carr because they are durable? Would you rather put those assets in an extra roster spot somewhere else instead of holding on to 3 quarterbacks? So I think I agree with you, Ryan. If we do land A-Rod or Carr, I think Zach's the backup and Streveler is a good option for practice squad as the 3rd guy.
Green Bean, what about you? Where do you think the backup lies for the New York Jets?
Richie said it. He said, don't sleep on a vet. I would not be surprised, and I actually would prefer if they went out there and grabbed Aaron Rodgers and then brought in like a Jacoby Brissett as the back. That then just keep Zach on the back burner. We're gonna let Zach learn. He only comes in an emergency. Having him at quarterback too, does that take the stress off him? He's still like worried. I just let's put him in the back. Let's give him a hard reset. And let's get ourselves a vet. Mike White. I mean, I like Mike White too, but Mike White has 9 injuries in 7 games somehow. And it's just, I don't know. I'd rather see like if our guy goes down, the guy coming in, we know he can play at an NFL level for a few games if we need him to. I
do like the idea of getting Brissett. I don't know how you could possibly have the money to be able to do that. But I do like the idea of a veteran quarterback. I feel like I'd almost would rather go the route of a guy that might be able to teach Zach as the backup. And I don't know who that is. Like, are you trying to follow the Rodgers-esque mold of like quarterback play and that's how you're going to groom Zach? And now you're going to try to find someone who maybe, falls in line with that sort of play style. Or do you get someone like we've seen? How many backup quarterbacks have we seen come through the league that are like perpetual backup quarterbacks because they're like quarterback teachers on the sideline? That's the kind of guy I think I'd like. Green Bean talked me out of it. I was going to say a cheap, undrafted free agent rookie, but if we're going for a ring, it'd be stupid to rely on that. You got to have a vet backup. So you're right, Green Bean. I agree with you.
Some Brock Purdy,
Yeah. I would love that. Sign me up.
Know.
Yeah,
I want Brock Purdy.
Expected the Jets to bring back Joe Flacco this last offseason, right? I mean, I feel like the Jets really prioritize having veterans in the building, even if we do get Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr. Like, I agree with Green Bean. I think there's a big chance that we roll with 3 quarterbacks, and one of them is a backup that's not named Zach Wilson.
Yeah, I almost Yeah, I don't know. We'll find out. We will find out. Willie's Cologne, that's a pretty funny name, says, fact, we haven't had a quarterback surpass Namath's passing yard record in 55 years is disgusting, diabolical. Rodgers and his darkness brings that. Do it. Carr does too. Carr would hold, if Carr played the final 2 games of this season and played to his career average yards per game, he would own, I think it was 8 of the top 9 passing seasons if he were a New York Jet. Like, that's the kind of guy that some of our fan base is saying you absolutely cannot go after this guy. Sign up for Rodgers or Carr all damn day.
He's right, though. It's like, look at that, dude. And you know what sucks? That a lot, like the touchdown record and some other things, and the best season we've seen in 20 years comes from an asshole journeyman that was here for 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
I like Fitz. I didn't like him.
Fitz?
What do
you got against Ryan Fitzpatrick?
You know what I got? I'll tell you what I got against him.
He's got a better beard.
He's an illusion.
I'm kidding.
Well, he's done this for numerous teams, man. Like he looks good enough to get paid, and then he sucks. But how about this? Taking us to 10-5 and then throwing 5 interceptions in a game against a shitty Buffalo team coached by our former coach. How about not doing that? How about that? How about not sucking so bad that nothing the team does can overcome it? That's it. That's everything he did prior to that is a joke. When the chips were down, we were 10-5 playing the Rex Ryan 3-win Buffalo Bills to get into the playoffs. He threw 5 interceptions. Like, fuck him. That's what I did.
I remember watching that game and just being like, Rex hates us right now. He's going for every 4th down. He's pulling out every stop. Like, it was such an untraditional game from Rex. Wow. It was like, he's gonna beat us. It's just gonna happen.
Yeah,
I still have nightmares from that.
He wanted it, man. And we have to know that going in. You know what I mean? Like, dude, this guy, he would sell his soul. He would, if he could just win this game, knock us out of the playoffs, it makes his whole life worth living. And we let him do it. Ryan.
And I love how we
that's what we loved about him.
Win, he was lost and none of it happened. Right? Even if we lost and the Steelers lost, we would have made it, but they had to win too.
Just a kick in the pants.
Wasn't it 5 picks? Somebody correct me. I think it's 5 interceptions. Like, maybe it was
bad.
4. But
and then we lost Wilkerson with the broken leg and gave him a monster deal after the broken leg, and the things good organizations do.
Yeah, like he didn't throw 2 picks, and he threw 5, dude.
He imploded. He forgot to get on the bus.
It's like he was paid to hurt. It's like he wanted to hurt us. Yeah, I'll show you.
Here's the franchise record. And here's the finale.
Yeah, wah. Tony S. drops in, says, do you think to outside quarterbacks the Jets look like the 2019 Buccaneers? I think to Rodgers, yes, they do. I think when you look at Rodgers and you saw how he reacted to Tom Brady going to the Bucs, I think that's the treatment he wants. If he thinks he can get that in Vegas, or if he thinks he can get it in Tennessee, or he thinks he can get it in New York, I think those are 3 very likely options. I think the Jets just have the better shot because, clearly our division isn't quite as strong. I just don't know what it's going to cost to get Rodgers. I have a really hard time believing you're getting Rodgers without giving up a first this year. I feel like that is, when you're looking at the Titans, you're looking at the Raiders. The Jets aren't going to give up a 2nd round pick this year, because both the Raiders and Titans, I feel like, would give up the 2nd round pick, and their picks are higher than us. So that pushes you automatically into the 1st round of this year's draft, and then it's a matter of what do you do for the conditional pick next year. I don't know. Richie, what do you think? You think the Jets look like the 2019 Buccaneers?
I think if the Jets, maybe this is just wishful thinking, but I just feel like that Joe Douglas can pull off some magic and get Rodgers for a lot less than what we were expecting. I think we can get him for a 2nd this year and a 1st next year. But I just feel like Joe Douglas is really prioritizing that 13th overall pick, and he's going to try his best, at least, to really try to get Aaron Rodgers here without sacrificing it. But if the Packers say, no, we're not giving you Rodgers unless you give us that pick, then I think they're going to do that. I don't think he's going to hold on to it for that much, because Rodgers is definitely worth that 13th overall pick in my eyes. But it would be beautiful to have them both. But listen, if you look at the 2019 Buccaneers and then Tom Brady goes there and they win a freaking Super Bowl, I just feel like the Jets are a team that Rodgers looks at And, we beat him in his own house. He was asked about the Jets on the Pat McAfee show weeks ago, and he had nothing but great things to say about the Jets. And he's a smart guy. He knows that he's linked to the Jets. I'm sure he's doing his research. I'm sure he's doing his homework. And I know that it's really easy to say this, but like the connection with Nathaniel Hackett to Rodgers is really deep. And, Rodgers' favorite guy in Green Bay was not LaFleur. It was not his head coach. It was his offensive coordinator at the time. And everyone comes back to the idea like, oh, Rodgers stunk last year. He didn't do anything. I mean, he won back-to-back MVPs before the season with Nathaniel Hackett as his OC, with Davante Adams. Nathaniel Hackett goes to the Denver Broncos. Davante Adams goes to the Raiders. And I'm not saying Hackett was the reason for Aaron Rodgers' success. He was the guy that was a red zone manager. He was the offensive game planning guy. I know LaFleur called the plays, but Rodgers has a deep relationship. And there's a lot of things in football that a lot of people don't realize in terms of relationships. And I feel like that's a big part of football, is having a connection with your coach and your players and having a feeling of, I'm going to fight for you. I just have that. And I believe Robert Saleh has that in him, by the way. But listen, I think that if you look at the New York Jets and you want to compare it to the 2019 Bucs, we have a top 5 defense. We may not have the offensive line veterans like they did. Like, they got some studs on that line. We do have young studs that we're hopeful will get healthy, like ABT, and obviously Becton's the biggest wild card of it all. But we have the playmakers. I mean, we have the weapons, and not to mention we're going to add another one in the offseason. So I just feel like if I'm Rodgers and I'm looking at it from the perspective of the Jets have everything I need besides an O-line that they're going to completely revamp this offseason, backed up with a top 5 defense, why not? I mean, I tweeted it out a couple days ago because at that time we thought he was already on his darkness retreat. I'm like, I really hope Aaron Rodgers is sitting down, meditating in darkness with visualizing, throwing dimes to Offensive Rookie of the Year Garrett Wilson, handing it off to a stud healthy Breece Hall, having his buddy with him and Nathaniel Hackett, all backed up with the top 5 defense. Like, hopefully that's what's going through Rodgers' brain when he's sitting in his isolation.
Green Bean, your thoughts? Jets look like the 2019 Buccaneers to other teams' quarterbacks?
I think we could be compared. Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, they were a quarterback. They had a quarterback issue, right? And they had Bruce Arians who came in, and he had Byron Leftwich, all these guys that were known to get a lot out of guys. They put a lot of resources into Jameis Winston. He threw 33 touchdowns and 33 interceptions. And they said, look, we're not going to win with this guy. It's just not real. So they brought in Tom Brady, and look at it. Richie brings up some great points, man. I mean, the truth is Aaron Rodgers has been highly complimentary of the New York Jets. We have a good young team, and the offensive line issues aren't because we're not bringing in dudes. It was an epic offensive line injury season. I mean, like, look at the Jets. I could show you guys. We can go through the injuries over the years. This was actually a very healthy year for the Jets, considering all of our, not all, but most of our injuries were concentrated to the offensive line, and even more specific to the tackle position. We had 6th and 7th tackle and all that kind of stuff. So that's not something that happens all the time. Joe Douglas has used 2 first-round picks in 3 years on offensive linemen. AVT, as we know, was he did. He was amazing last year. I mean, he ended up getting hurt, of course, but we were looking at him as arguably, all-pro level. I mean, obviously, we needed the rest of the season to play. We don't know, but it looked like he was going to be in the all-pro conversation. And that's the kind of stuff. Like, look, he went down, and then you got the Becton thing. Like Richie said, he's a major X factor. We don't know what the hell, wild card. We don't know what he's going to be, but he is coming back, and he does look healthy, and he did lose weight, and he is only 23, dude. He's not 30. You know what I mean? He's 23, still years old. So I think the Jets are going to bring in another guy. We still have Dwayne Brown. You have, I don't know. Maybe we re-sign Nate Herbig. We got to figure out the center. So there's a lot to do there. But again, it's not like this team. Joe Douglas has put more resources into the offensive line than probably the last 3 regimes, 3 GMs combined. And so that's the thing. It's like injuries happen, but when Aaron Rodgers or whoever looks over here, the defense, like you said, is good, man. And I don't even want to talk about the lack of injury. It spooks me to talk about it, but that is what it is. And then you look at the skill guys, dude. Mike LaFleur, for whatever reason, couldn't figure out how to use Elijah Moore. Couldn't figure out how to use Denzel Mims. I think most offensive coordinators are going to look at this and go, "Wait a second, we weren't using these guys. Like, why not? Why weren't we using them? Why did you make him learn 3 positions before he could step on the field? Like, why? Why are we doing that?" My hope is that you know Hackett looks at these skill guys, Garrett Wilson, the tight ends, the running backs. We're stacked, and we already got most of what we need. We bring in a wide receiver or whoever else in addition to all these guys, and then the offensive line. I think we are ready to rumble, man, if we have a quarterback.
Yeah, not to mention Aaron Rodgers kind of solves a lot of our problems. If you wind up getting Aaron Rodgers here, I do think you wind up restructuring C.J. Mosley. I think that in turn allows you to re-sign at least one of your 2 linebackers in Quincy and Quan. I think depending on who wants more and who wants the championship more, might dictate who winds up actually staying. On the offensive side of the ball with Rodgers, I think a lot of us probably expect to move on from Berrios. If Rodgers comes, you probably have Cobb as your backup slot then. I think Bakhtiari, the tackle from Green Bay, could definitely be coming over with Rodgers. There's also the possibility the Chargers, if they need to create some cap space, Corey Linsley, Rodgers' former center, could wind up being a cap casualty. If there's a situation where Rodgers is going in for 2 years, maybe you bring in Linsley for 2 years and you draft someone maybe in the mid to later rounds at center that you could also play at guard, maybe help out Tomlinson and the rest of your offensive line, but still give Rodgers the guys that he would be comfortable with around him. And that's not even talking about guys like Lazard and maybe some other players that you could bring in with Rodgers as well. The New York Bully drops in, says, "We had injuries at every key position on defense and still had a top 5 D. We had injuries at every key position on offense and we were abysmal. Our offseason needs to be focused on upgrading the offense." I mean, so much of our offensive or lack of offensive success was predicated on the quarterback. I really think, like we heard from Woody Johnson, you swap out the quarterback, it's almost plug and play. There's a few more pieces to kind of iron out, but I would say you're probably having a 3-win swing. I mean, if Rodgers signs with the Jets tomorrow, I think you're probably predicting the Jets to win 12 games. Richie, am I wrong with that thought process?
You're not. And that's what I always say on my channels. If we get Aaron Rodgers, this is going to be a very crazy anticipation for the season, because this is going to be the highest expectations I think us as a fan base is ever going to put on our team heading into the year. Because what was our expectation heading into this season? It was play meaningful games in December, show that we were showing significant improvement. Well, guess what? We did that. Unfortunately, we lost every single one of those meaningful games in December, right? And that's a failure, but we still got there, and we were still in the playoff hunt all the way until the second to last week of the season. It only took until the final week until we're officially eliminated, and that's a plus. So I'm just bringing you guys the facts of where our mindset overall as the majority of the fan base were. We weren't expecting playoffs. We were hopeful, like, if we get the playoffs, that'd be great, and I'm talking about August, right? So now fast forward to this coming August, with Aaron Rodgers at training camp. I mean, Ryan, me and you were at training camp. Can you imagine we were there and Aaron Rodgers is there? The buzz, what it would be like? I mean, training camp is off the charts with freaking, a year 2 Zach Wilson. Can you imagine what Aaron Rodgers would do? So the expectations are going to be so freaking high to the point where it's kind of worrying me, because we're not used to that. We're a fan base that's used to, like, expectations are here and we let's exceed them. That'd be great. Like, if we set the bar high, which we will have to. I mean, if you get Aaron Rodgers, the expectations will be to win the division. And I'm going to say that, and I'm not saying if we make the wild card as a playoff, I'm going to be pissed off. But I will say this, Ryan and Green Bean, that if we get Aaron Rodgers, I have confidence that we can win the freaking AFC East. Want to know why? Because the Buffalo Bills do not scare me at all. Nope. I think we can sweep them with Aaron Rodgers, and I think that we can take a run for their money. I think the Dolphins and the Patriots are getting better, and I think that the Bills, I mean, Josh Allen's money's getting hit soon. They're not going to be able to bring back a lot of their guys. They're getting older. Their window was to win this past season, and I'm not too sure how much better the Buffalo Bills are going to get. So give me Aaron Rodgers. Expectation, Ryan, they're through the roof. And us as a fan base, it's going to be like, wait, what is this? I never experienced these expectations before. And I bet you all the media as well, like the national media, they're going to put expectations on us as well. They're going to be someone saying, like, I got the Jets to win the Super Bowl this year. And we're going to be like, what? You have us, like, winning the Super Bowl?
You damn
like,
right you have us.
Guys. Like, that's going to be a thing. Like, we're going to hear this guy hopping on the bandwagon and this guy hopping on the bandwagon. And this is before we play. This is before week 1. So prepare yourself for that if we do get Aaron Rodgers. And I hope all that does happen.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we win the division if we get Rodgers. I'm not afraid of Buffalo. The fact that Zach Wilson, on a beautiful day without AVT and Breece Hall, threw for 150 yards and 1 touchdown and beat the Bills, yeah, I think Rodgers can come in and do at least as much damage. Yeah, Greenby, what do you think about this? You think we got to focus on the offensive side of the ball, or you think it's more so just the quarterback, plug and play, and then maybe just a few pieces here and there?
And real quick, just about the Bills thought, I just love how our defense looked against that Buffalo Bills offense with Josh Allen. And that's the reason why I think we can sweep them and at least beat them once again, because of how good our defense plays against Josh Allen. Josh Allen's 2 worst games of the season came against the Jets. And that's why I got confidence in the division. Doesn't matter who our quarterback is.
Yeah, and not to mention the that whole like Bills team right now. You mentioned the cap hit. Allen's cap hit is starting to go up. I think it's $39 million next year, but like they have a ton of free agents. There is a lot of players that have to come back. I'm with you, Richie. I think they missed their window. I think this was the last year before, it gets really, really tough to win. You don't normally win with a high percentage of your cap tied up in quarterback. I think no one's ever won over 12%, but I'd have to look at Mahomes' contract because I feel like he may have just done that. Let me pull it up while I'm talking about it.
Man.
Yeah, he is. So he had, so this year, this is the highest it's ever been. 17% of the team's salary cap was tied up in Mahomes. I'm pretty sure that's the highest it's ever been. I think Stafford's cap hit was a lot lower because it was the first year of his deal. And the first 2 years of Mahomes' deal, too, 2.4% of the cap, 4% of the cap. This was the one that jumped up at 17%. So for them to win with him, it's impressive. Really impressive. Green Bean, what do you think? We need the quarterback?
Well, yeah, I mean, but I'm with it, dude. Like Buffalo doesn't scare me, and their main strength has been their ability to keep everybody together. They're the larger core of their team, particularly on defense, has been together for like 5 years. I mean, that's a lot, man. That's especially in today's NFL, 4 or 5 years together, 6 in some instances. That's a lot. They're going to start losing guys soon. Like that core is going to start. They can't continue. They can't pay everybody. So it's going to start. They're going to start losing guys. You saw Dable left, and that hit them, in my opinion. I think Dable, his presence was important as well. Slowly but surely, they were not dominant, man. They weren't. Like was said, we beat them, and then the second game, if we had a quarterback, dude, and if CJ Mosley didn't have that freak out and jump over the line on 4th down, like that crazy, remember that? He was like, he just kind of freaked out.
I'm Troy Polamalu.
I got it.
Yeah. But it was 0, dude. If he didn't do that, it's 0-0 going into the half. That led to points, that penalty. They were going to punt, So anyway, we were right in their league, for lack of a better term, without a quarterback. If we have a quarterback, and even if it's on the level of somebody who can, from time to time win the game for you, like actually rise and be the best player on the field, forget about it. I think that we can absolutely win the AFC East. As far as the resources and everything, yeah, I think quarterback, look, everything, begins and ends with quarterback. You don't do that, everything else we do is going to be moot in many respects. Get the quarterback done. Make sure the offensive line is intact, and whatever you have left, get yourself a free safety, get yourself a nice run-stuffing defensive tackle, and those types of things. But quarterback, offensive line, if you don't get that done, everything else might suffer and will suffer. So I think that's where our focus should be.
Donald Johnson drops in and says, so did we get rid of Strevler? No, we signed him to a reserve contract, I'm pretty sure, for a year. So he should be under contract. Mutt Viles drops in and says, Green Bean, I love you, bro. Thank you. Fits tricks every team and fan base. And we went 6-10 with him. I was crazy for saying, don't bring, what do you say? I'm crazy for saying, don't bring him in. Look at what happened. He is trash and hate that he has our records. I think he has the touchdown record, right? He doesn't have the yardage record. He just missed the 4,000 yard mark.
Just missed it. Yeah, he's got our touchdowns, right? But I'm with you, Mutt Files. I hate that he owns anything. It's like that's how bad we are. A journeyman. Fitzpatrick has it's like, oh my God, dude. Like the comment before, we haven't beaten Namath's record. And he did, dude, that's only 4,000 yards. By the way,
in 14
Carr
games.
does that every year.
We had 3 extra games.
Yeah, right. He did it in 14 games. But like Carr does that pretty much every year, everybody. I just want you to know that. Like if Derek Carr is here, that's in the past. We're not talking about that anymore. It's gone. I think Rodgers would do it too, but that's what we have to remember when we're out here complaining about these quarterbacks and cold weather and whatever else. By the way, he's thrown for just about 4,000 yards almost every year of his career. So we could use that.
Dom C drops in, says, Ryan, Green Bay has to swallow a huge dead cap hit this year if they move on from Aaron Rodgers. My guess, they prefer the first rounder in 2024 when paying an extra first round rookie will be a lot more palpable. I disagree. I think they want the 13th pick now because if they take the pick in 24, it's going to be in the mid to late 20s. And hopefully, even if it's a big cap hit now, it wouldn't shock me if Rodgers somehow negotiated his. Actually, I don't even know if it's. I wonder if there's a way for him to manipulate his dead cap hit so that way the dead cap hit that winds up hitting the Packers post June 1st, if he could make that happen pre June 1st, or if it's just going to have to be a handshake deal, and that's what winds up happening. And I think no one's going to break it. But I would be shocked if they did not want the first round pick this year. I think at the very least, if I'm the Raiders or I'm the Titans, I'm offering them my second round pick, and the Jets can't beat that without giving up substantially more picks. I don't know. Green Bean, you think the Packers would prefer a first in 2024 instead?
Well, I mean, Dom's point is interesting. I don't know. I mean, the dead cap and all that is pretty extreme, right? We were looking at that a few weeks ago. I don't know. I think a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush, man. I think, you take what you can get now. I think they're going to want the 13th pick. And I think you don't let that stand in your way. If you got to give them the 13th pick, you give them the 13th pick. That's what I think. I'd rather not. Don't get me wrong. And if we can push that till next year, sure, fine, great. Because then you don't know what you can add later. And but I think they're going to want it. That's just me. I think they're going to want the 13th pick, kind of give Jordan Love everything that they can. Because that, I would imagine that's the guy, right? They traded up to get him in the first round a few years ago. They've been grooming him. He's their guy. So I think they're going to want to give him everything they can.
Yeah, I would be surprised if they did not want to surround him with as much talent as humanly possible by getting that first round pick this year. Richie, what do you think? You think Packers prefer the first next year because of cap issues?
I don't think the cap issue is going to have anything to do with it. I think it's going to be Joe Douglas saying, listen, this is what's going to happen. We're keeping our 13th pick, and you're giving us Aaron Rodgers. I mean, based off what we've seen from Joe Douglas, that's what he's been doing, baby. So I have all my trust in Joey Magic Douglas. But no, all joking aside, I would really like to see the Jets be able to pull off a trade without giving up that 13th pick, but it's definitely likely. And I'd sacrifice that pick for Aaron Rodgers any day of the week. I mean, we were talking about bringing in a Hall of Fame quarterback, a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I don't need to list all his accolades. You guys know how good this man is. Don't let the age fear you guys, please, because in my opinion, quarterbacks get better with age. Some of them, because the quarterback position is way more mental than people think. Your physical abilities. Aaron Rodgers is one of the most physically talented quarterbacks, and he's still got it. 100%, and he's more wise than he's ever been, and that's what the quarterback position does. I mean, I know you can't really compare A-Rod to Brady, but Brady at 39, 40 years old was playing like his best football of his career, at least one of his best seasons. I mean, he's been good every season, but I don't know, man. I think that giving up the 13th overall pick is worth it, but I would like to see the Jets kind of figure out a way to not give up that 13th pick. But I don't really think from Green Bay's perspective they're worried about, okay, we're going to hold on. We're going to do it for next year just because of cap reasons. I agree with you guys. If you want to get as much talent this year to build around your young quarterback to make sure when Jordan Love steps on the field, he's getting all the weapons. Unless the Packers want that 13th pick so they can draft another quarterback and not surround Jordan Love with talent like they should have done in the first place, but not even drafting Jordan Love and surrounding Aaron Rodgers with talent. But we're not going to go into that.
Crazy. Tony Alexio drops in and says Janet Jackson was the best Super Bowl halftime show with the clothing malfunction. Yeah, I was one of two people at the Super Bowl party. I was in middle school and I remember being like, "Oh, that was interesting. I didn't know that was going to happen." And then it was like this whole big news thing. I think I was in middle school when the whole thing went down. Steve Rose says, not true. Bills have no dead cap space, and they will just restructure Allen like Kansas City and Mahomes. Buffalo's cap is in great shape for the next several years. Their GM is one of the best. Let's take a look at the Bills' salary cap space. Where am I looking? All right. So right now, Bills are $16 million, 16.7 over the cap. They have $35 million in salary cap in 2024. Yeah, I mean, you can move Allen's cap hit a little bit, but they're still not in great cap shape. They have 52 players under contract, but I feel like there's some big names that they would probably want to bring back. Poyer, Tremaine Edmonds. I mean, I guess maybe not all of them. They'll draft well, I'm sure. I don't know. I feel like when you get that high of a cap hit for a quarterback, it starts getting substantially tougher. Restructuring, I guess, allows you to free up a little bit of that. I don't know. Green Bean, you think Buffalo has seen the best days already, or do you think they're on the downturn now?
Well, I think they're blowing it. I think they're missing their window. And that doesn't mean that they're not going to be a good team. I think that they were supposed to. This last 2 years, they were built for this. And I think where they could be cresting right now. And again, dude, if we're beating them already and we're kind of in the early stages of our Robert Saleh, Joe Douglas rebuild here, I think that doesn't necessarily bode well for them. And look, they're disappointing, man. You know, Josh Allen, as good as he can be, he's a chokester, and he always has been. There was only that 1 year, I think it was his third year, he threw 37 touchdowns. He didn't choke. Like, he kind of put that to bed that year. This year, it all started up again. He chokes, man. He makes big mistakes at the exact wrong time. He fumbles. He throws picks in the end zone. All those kinds of things. And you know, if they start losing guys like a Poyer, like Milano, like those kinds of guys, I think you're going to start to see their, you know, chinks in their armor. And I'm cautious to say that they're not still the class of the AFC East. I don't think I'm there yet, but I think if we get a quarterback, we're going to lump them up something good. They're going to walk out of our building with fat lips, and we'll see where it goes from there.
I like it. Donald drops in and says, "Hey, Ryan Greenbean, can you make me a mod? I'm so bad at my moderator game. The only people that I think are mods in my live chats are people that actually have YouTube channels, like our content creators, just so everyone looks like a little different and be like, oh, that's who that is in the chat. So maybe I'll rework some of my mods and see what happens. So you shall see, Donald. Blitzcrew says, thoughts on Pocket from the Browns for center. Void. I don't think he's got a void year. I just tried looking it up. He's on a 1 year deal. It's a $1 million contract this past year. He's a unrestricted free agent. His over the cap valuation puts him at $5.2 million. Let me just see what they have him at for. Let's see. Market value on Spot Track has him at $7.2 million a year. Yeah, I don't mind bringing in a cheaper version of, maybe McGovern. The best thing about McGovern was just that he was healthy and available. I mean, outside of that, I really didn't particularly care for McGovern. I thought he left a lot to be desired as far as like a nasty lineman. Like, I want someone getting in the other team's face when they hit our quarterback, and that just was not McGovern for me. So I don't know a whole lot about Pocket from the Browns. Richie or Greenbean, do either of you guys know anything about the center from Cleveland?
Well, Yeah, I mean, the center market is definitely an interesting one because Connor McGovern, ironically, is the best center on the market, and he's ours. So that's going to be interesting. I haven't really done my homework on the center market, really, to be honest, but I know that he was on the Browns, and I know that the Browns have a great offensive line. So if he does become available, I know he's 27 years old, so he's not like he's up there in age to the point where we can't bring him in. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind it. I feel like the Jets, I'm curious. How do you guys feel about McGovern? Like, would you want them to re-sign him? Like, do you completely walk out the door? Don't let the door hit you on the way out? Like, how do you guys feel about McGovern? I feel like it's interesting.
I think it depends. I think if you get Rodgers, I think you go to McGovern, you say, hey, look, we're trying to win a ring for the next 2 years. If you want to come back, we'll take you on a discount. If not, best luck to you. I understand, go hit free agency, make as much money as you can while you can. No issues with that whatsoever. I think I like him because he's just been available. That's really it to me. If you get him back for $10 million a year and you don't have to pay him the $12 or $13 million a year that you think he may get on the open market, maybe that's enough. I don't think I want him here more than a year or two, and I think he can get a better contract maybe elsewhere. Green Bean, what about you? McGovern.
Well, looking at the Cleveland Center market value, I mean, Connor McGovern's market value is $13.5 million, I think.
Ooh, it's gone up.
This guy is 7.4. So that's a 7.2. And these aren't solid or in stone or anything like that. It's just a kind of an estimation by Spot Track, but they're pretty good each year. And I think if you could save $4 or $5 million and get top level play, I think it's a smart move. It's a very, very smart move. I don't know.
That money may save you to get Quincy or Quan back too.
That's right. But I don't know. Think about this. Let's say we don't take either one of them and we just draft Schmitz in the second round. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do that. You pay him second round chump change for the next 4 years. That
depends what
nice
you give up for Rodgers, right? Like if you give up the first, I think you use the second on the center if you can get him. If you wind up giving up like the second, I feel like there's almost a situation where I'd like to trade down from 13 and just get more picks in like the second and third round.
Totally.
I don't know. I haven't really fallen in love with a player at 13 yet.
Well, no, and what's interesting about that too is that look, if we're a lot of people think we're shooting for a tackle there, right? So you have these names, you have Paris Johnson, you have Skoronski, you got Broderick Jones but really it's kind of a two-man race, right? So if you have the next three guys kind of in that next tier, if you have them all kind of rated the same, then slide back 5 spots, gain another second, gain another third, whatever you can do, and then take either one of them, whatever guy's there. Because I don't know, Broderick Jones, what I'm learning about him is it looks like it might take him a little while. You know what I mean? Like he's not necessarily plug and play ready in many people's eyes, And I was watching him
somewhere around that 20 to 25 range.
Yeah. So if you slide back, Ryan, and you gain let's say you slide back 6 spots, you gain a second round pick, and then you take your tackle. You know what I mean? Like why, so you might be wise to do that. And the one thing that we know is that Joe Douglas isn't exactly afraid to trade during the draft. He's done it every single draft. He has not stayed put ever. Obviously some picks, yeah, but he's moved either up or back every single draft. So I think that we could expect that, look, guys, there's a few guys in that second round range that I think might be just as impactful as Broderick Jones, so there's a few tackles that we might like there. And, sliding back to the 20s and then getting that extra second. So then you can do, let's say you get the extra second. So you take, Anton Harrison at 22 or 20, pick 20, whatever it is, a tackle. And then you take John Michael Schmitz with your, and then you can get a safety. Let's say Jordan Battle is there, and then you can, with that extra second, now we're talking, baby. Now we're playing with fire. You see what I mean? So you can do all that stuff. And Joe Douglas has proven to be pretty proficient, man, moving up and down the drafts. So It's going to be exciting. I think we'll see some excitement and we'll play it well.
In Joe we trust. Soreless76 celebrates 24 months of membership. Thank you so much. He says, who's a non-quarterback we should trade for this offseason? Ooh. I'll be honest, I don't know offhand trade targets. I feel like the ones that'll pop up are like Hopkins, people want to talk about.
Yeah.
Because that's tricky.
Lineman's the only one. If you could trade
a lot of people that are on the market.
Let's say this. Let's say you get Rodgers for like the second this year and a first next year, and then there's a situation where Orlando Brown becomes available. Do you give up 13 to get the 26-year-old tackle from the Chiefs, knowing he can play left and right tackle, or do you stick to your guns and take the pick at 13? Like, if you could trade 13 for a legitimate superstar tackle, would you do it? Either one of you.
Yeah, I mean,
go on, Richie.
What do you think, Green Bean?
I'm going to shoot real straight with you guys. I wasn't listening. I was reading the chat.
Okay, so let's say Orlando Brown
got me back in this.
Orlando Brown for the Chiefs.
Orlando Brown. Yeah,
he's the left tackle for the Chiefs. He was franchised this past year. He's due a massive amount of money. In a situation where they were to tag and trade him, would you be willing to give up the 13th pick for a superstar tackle? Like, maybe it's not him, maybe it's someone else, but like, would you give up the 13th pick for a high-priced good tackle?
You know what I'd like to see the Jets do? Is be the team that mysteriously is able to pay like we bring in Aaron Rodgers for $48 million. We trade the 13th pick for Orlando Brown and he gets $20 million, and then we heap 24 per on Quinnen. We keep Quincy, Quan, CJ, right? Why can't we be that team? Teams do that shit. I want to see us figure that stuff out. I'd like to see that happen. Now, that's just to your point, though. I think, I would happily trade. I mean, look at last year. You saw A.J. Brown was a first-round pick trade in the draft last year. You think they're happy about that? I think they're pretty psyched about that. Who else was there? There was another one. Maybe Hollywood Brown was another one. I don't know how he did.
Hollywood was. He wound up going to Arizona.
He didn't do so good?
No, not so good. And then Debo and Metcalf did not get traded.
Stayed, right. Yeah. So I don't know. I'd be open to it. I mean, look, a couple of years ago, let me give you guys just a brief recent history lesson. Trent Green was on the Skins, right? And he didn't want to play he didn't want to play. He said, this organization is garbage. The medical staff tried to kill me. Remember, he said, I'm not doing it. I don't trust anybody in this building. And he sat out all year.
Trent Williams.
What'd I say? Trent Green?
You said Trent Green.
Yeah, I heard myself say that.
Trent Williams. I was like, I don't remember him playing on the Redskins.
Yeah, what the hell is this guy talking about?
Wait a second.
Anyway, thank you. So we talked about it ad nauseum. There were 2 off seasons where Jets fans, we should trade for Green. I'm fucking Green again. Look at me. I don't know what's wrong with me. Something's wrong with my brain.
Trent Williams.
I'm saying Trent Green. Yeah, left tackle. So and there were so many Jets fans saying the guy's washed up, he's a problem, blah, 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 blah. Nobody wanted him. The Niners gave a 4th round pick, and he's quite literally discussed as the top left tackle in the entire game.
And he made Laken Tomlinson look like an all-pro last year, 2 years ago.
That's what happened, Ryan.
Bastard.
That's what happened.
That bastard.
So if you have an idea, like, look, the draft is a crapshoot, right? The benefit of the draft is the contracts, right? The money that you're putting out. That's the benefit. You get these young, hungry players at lower prices. That's the great thing about the draft. But I'll tell you, man, there's a lot to be said for already knowing which guys can hang in the NFL, man, because shit, busts, they happen constantly, and they seem to happen a lot around here. So I would be willing to do that. I'd be willing to trade our 13th pick.
Cafe, by the way, says What? No Matty Ice on the list? No, I think Matty Ice either retires or he goes to San Francisco. I think San Francisco needs a veteran backup quarterback, and I think there's a nice shot that he ends up there. He's played with Shanahan in Atlanta. I think he can take the vet minimum. He's due $12 million from the Colts anyway. The Colts are going to cut him to save some cap space. He could take the vet min contract and still get $12 million a year to be like the fallback option in case Lance sucks and Purdy is not ready to go. I don't think they run it back, with just the two kids. Donald Johnson says McGovern doesn't protect the quarterback. Yeah. The one play that really irks me is when it was the rookie year with Zach, where the Patriots hit Zach low and there was just everyone walked away from Zach. That to me was like the something's not right here moment. Richie, do you remember seeing that?
Say that again. Which game?
When Zach got hit low against the Patriots his rookie year, the play he got hurt. It was like two plays back to back, and he got hit on like not great plays, and our offensive line did not get in anyone's face. They just walked away.
Yeah, I mean, you see a lot of quarterbacks, even this past season, when they get hit, their O-line, they're backing them up, and that tells you a lot. And I feel like we've seen a lot of issues with this whole situation with Zach Wilson of his teammates not backing him up. There's some inside sources. You got this guy coming out with sources. This guy said this in the locker room. Oh, they're benching Zach because the players don't even like Zach. I mean, it's just been really much of a nightmare. I mean, you think about it 2 years ago when we drafted the kid second overall, and then if someone told you when we drafted him exactly what was going to happen, we'd all say, oh, fuck, here we go again. So it's like, God damn it, right? Like,
brutal. If we could all do it over again. Oh, wow, it's 10 o'clock. Green Bean, do you have our qualifiers for our T-shirt giveaway?
I do. I'm ready. Let me throw one more in there, but I'm ready.
Richie, could you do me a favor and go to last week's Talkin' Jets panel? I'm going to have you pick 5 T-shirt qualifiers. And then we actually did a little bonus qualifier action if you tuned into the Monday show with Tyson from Let's Talk Jets Radio. I just got to pull up their video, see where that is.
So I'm going into the comments?
Yeah.
Oh, Steve Rose, you're the last guy from the chat. Steve Rose. Steve Rose.
Do they have to comment a specific thing?
Nope. Could be anyone. Green Bean, I got a few for you right here. Chopped liver.
Ready. Chopped liver.
Yep.
All right.
We got Vallon, Vallon. Oh, nope, sorry. He didn't say. He said Seth Ryan, not Ryan. Hulk Smasher Mom.
Hulk Smasher. Hey, somebody's in the chat saying you skipped their super chat. I don't know if that's real.
Is it the Donald one? This one?
I don't know.
Who said it? Let's see.
Adam S says Ryan always. So not only tonight, man.
You know what? I missed it. It was the member super chat. It doesn't highlight on my side. That's why. Hold on, I'll get it. Sorry, dude.
Got you, Adam. You pain in the ass.
Yeah, good catch.
I'm just kidding.
Where is
Adam.
it?
You're a friendly guy.
I hate that it doesn't highlight on this side. All right, he said any
V-Man
chance
says
Rodgers
skipped his as well. We got a mutiny.
Who?
Ryan. What's happening?
Who?
V-Man.
Who did
29397.
What the hell did V-Man send in? I always get V-Mans. Oh, he did. He says, Richie, check out the tweet I sent you. Damn, I'm all over the place today.
Yeah, I checked my Twitter, by the way. I haven't seen it.
Denon, too. Man, I missed Denon, too. What the heck? Denon said, why trade valuable picks for Rodgers, who will be here for at most 2 years, sign Carr, give up 0 picks, and you have him for way longer, keep and build the team. For Carr, you're paying in salary cap as opposed to draft picks. With Rodgers, he's actually more flexible from a financial standpoint for these next 2 years. And then I saw another chat in here from Adam S. saying any chance Rodgers plays more than 2 years is a bonus. If he does play more than 2 years, we would have to restructure his contract because he's not guaranteed any money those final 2 years of the deal. They're just sham years. It's almost like void years. So you'd have to restructure. I don't know what you do, but as long as he wants to play, I'm good. I'm good with it.
Yeah, right. There's a chance too. Why not?
Sure.
He might. Like, let's say Rodgers comes here and we win 2 Super Bowls and everybody's love fest and we're, you know what I mean? Garrett Wilson, everybody loves each other, Sauce. And why not stick around, right?
Yeah, I think so. You could always. I feel like there's excitement, right? Like especially if you get close to possibly winning a ring. High Lost Boy is another one. Green Bean. Sorry, I'm just trying to.
Oh, High Lost Boy.
And that's it. We only had 3 qualifiers from the Tyson stream. Man, I'm losing my touch.
All right, what's Richie got? You got anybody?
Am I picking people from the comments?
You're doing 5 people from last week's Talkin' Jets panel.
All right, am I ready to go?
Go for it.
First one's my man, Rich.
Rich. Got it. All right, nice.
That's my guy, Rich. We're going to go with Raw Power.
Raw Power.
That's how I got Baby Shay.
We're going to go with...
Raw Power, baby. That was good. That was nice. That was good,
I'm glad
man.
you caught that, Green Bean.
That was good. Yeah. That was nice. All right,
Mark Ferraro, my man. Shout out to Mark.
Good one.
Yep.
This is tough, man. J-Man Hop.
I think J-Man Hop's in here tonight, too. I think.
And Kenneth Guffey. Is that 5?
Ooh, I like it. Perfect. All right, we get to do a little odds or evens action. 3, 2, 1.
Wait. I'm coming. Here.
We got a 2, that's a 5, that's a 6. We got an even.
Wait, who put that somebody's playing with the system?
Someone's
here?
screwing with it. It's Rusty Spooner threw a winner
Rusty
in there.
Spooner. You know what, Rusty? One more. You're actually a legit qualifier. Do that shit again. I'm taking you out.
You're done. You're out of here. Green Bean's the bouncer tonight. That's what's happening. He's throwing you out of this club.
You know what though? But I'll add Hawk. Hawk won. I'll add Hawk to it. All right.
I like it. Okay. I like it. Hawk can play.
Yeah.
All right.
What did we get?
We got a 6. Right. You got to cross off the evens.
All right. Evens. Okay. Joe S., you're out. He doesn't like Derek Carr, so that's why that happened to you. Ballsby Hurton is out. Edward Stewart is out. The Juice Maine is out. Retire, Rusty Spooner, you're gone. Chopped Liver and organically. Chopped Liver's out. Hulk Smash, your mom is gone. Your boy Rich is gone. Your boy Mark Ferraro is gone. Kenneth Duffy is gone. Okay. Got a whole bunch left. All right.
All right. 3, 2, 1. That's 9, 10, 11.
Odds. Okay, Ethan is gone. Ethan G. Kerry Pickroad, you're gone. A Fungus Among Us is gone. Valen is gone. Raw Power is gone. And Hawk, you're out. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Ooh, 4.
All right, even. So Dino is out. High Lost Boy is out. 2, 4. Yep, so 3 left.
Down to 3. Chat, give us a number plus us. 3, 2, 1. We got an 8 plus a 4. 12.
All right, so that leaves 1. So Steve Rose is out. There are 2. Edward Stewart and J-Man Hop.
Oh, man. All right. First one after V-Man's 3. So it's going to be Gangrene's number 7. Plus whatever we throw up. 3, 2, 1. It's a 5. 5 plus 7. That's some number that isn't even. It's 12. Perfect.
All right. Ed Stewart, you're the winner, buddy. You win. Edward Stewart.
Yeah, Ed. Congratulations.
What's up, dude? Good stuff.
Right
Reach
there.
out to me on Gmail. I'm pretty sure you've reached out to me before, so definitely reach out again. I'll send you a shirt. But we have reached the end of our panel, boys and girls. Let's go around, give our closing thoughts. Richie, thanks so much for subbing in for Matt tonight.
As always, man, I'm hopeful I was able to sub in for the one and only, the legend, Matt O'Leary. Hope you're doing well, Matt. And it's always a pleasure coming on here talking with Green Bean, with you, Ryan. You do an excellent job hosting this and I feel. And finally, I was able to make a show because you've always asked me, "Hey, Richie, you want to come to the panel?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to come to the panel, but I can't because I got this going on." So luckily, I was able to make it tonight. Always a pleasure to hop on, man. It's a lot of fun. You have a phenomenal show, great audience. Shout out to everybody in the chat. You guys are awesome. I mean, the stuff that you bring to the Jets community, I would not be able to do what I do. Green Bean, Ryan, Matt O'Leary, all the guys, all the fellas that create the best content here that we could possibly do on YouTube would not be possible with all the activity in the chat, with all the like buttons that you hit, with all the donations that you so kindly give to us Jets content creators. So I want to say thank you guys because this is just so awesome. I'm in like year 3 or 4 doing this. I don't even know anymore. And it was just really, humbling that we have such an awesome community that it kind of feels like a family, even though we don't know each other in person. I mean, we've met each other here and there at a game and at training camp, but like all of our relationships and friendships really come from virtually and just seeing a name on a live chat. Like, oh, I know that guy's name and profile picture, and I'm going to talk to you. So at the end of the day, man, we're all in this together. We're all a big, gigantic Jets family, and I want to say thank you all for tuning in to this amazing show that Ryan hosts. And Green Bean and Ryan, always a pleasure talking Jets with you fellas.
Love having you on. I mean, the chat. You guys make it possible. I remember calling Mutt Viles multivitamins for like months. Yeah. Forever. Couldn't get his name down for the life of me. Oh, and he sends it a super chat. I still don't say it right. Multivitamins drops in. He goes, "Great show, Richie. I'm coming for you soon. LOL. JETS." So you better watch out there. Green Bean, any last words for our panel?
Well, I just want to say that was beautiful. What Richie just said, man. That was great. I feel the same way. It's a cool thing we have here, man. It's something else. When I was in high school, like we didn't have all this shit. It was just me and my 3 Jets fan friends. Like that's it. And then that's all I had. And a sea of fucking Giants fan. Blue was everywhere. Lawrence Taylor. So it's real nice. But you know what, guys? We're gonna do. I'm inspired. So we'll do a half-hour hang. After this, at 10:30 we'll jump on Green Bean Jets Fan and we'll shoot the shit, talk a little Derek Carr, a little Joe Klecko, a little Darrelle Revis for a little while for the After Hours Jets Fest tonight, immediately following this stream.
I love it. Chat, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out if we earned a like. If not, maybe we'll see you back here next week.
Hit
and maybe
that thumbs up button. Are you kidding me? If you didn't enjoy the show, you better hit that like button. Want to give a big shout out to my man Hawk in the chat. I appreciate you, Hawk. And everybody else.
There he goes. Love it. Boys and girls, it's been a lot of fun hanging out with you and talking Jets. This is Jets Talk signing off. JETS.
I think every single person in this locker room is a competitor at the highest level. So, yeah, when you feel as if your back's against the wall, you never have to feel like you got to do it by yourself.
Unbelievable throw. Under pressure. Sacked by Quinnen Williams. Right sideline, Kusama's got it.
You look to your left and your right, you got guys out there with you that our whole point is to help each other.
This one to Mims. That's Corey Davis climbing the ladder.
To be able to go out and lead these guys, just to know how hard these guys work and how important it is to them, and then you get that chance to lead them. Everything that happened that needed to happen for us, it almost felt like kind of like a sign, like get like a second chance almost.
Gets extra pushes, running left.
Maybe a little extra life to breathe in the locker room.
Touchdown Jets.